Morning, baby boy, this is your day. Think nothing but positive gold, rubies, emeralds. Yes.
This morning in a healthy state of mind, bedroom curtains open wide, my face greeted by the sunshine. Today is my day, no one's gonna kill my vibe. Don't trouble the water, set your way to the right. Nothing's gonna kill my vibe today, please my vibe. Don't trouble the water, set your way to the right. Nothing's gonna kill my vibe today, please my vibe. It's gonna be a lucky day. Looking into the mirror, my reflection, my complexion, I can hear myself say, I have faith today. Tomorrow's troubles are miles away. Forget about yesterday, I'm living in the moment. Yes, get your way to go right. My vibe today, gonna ease my mind. Don't trouble the water, set your way to the right. Nothing's gonna kill my vibe today. Right away. It's time to bring in the sunshine. Oh, it's a brand new day. It's a brand new day. You're not gonna kill my vibe. Don't trouble my water.
For the team, took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free, free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity, I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I'm still live through technology. The sun will start shining. Black is the pain, and tears the pain. Your destiny will manifest, yeah.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, y'all? I am excited. Y'all don't know how excited I am. When change is happening, it's okay to be scared, but it's also all right to be excited as well. Y'all, we have a very special guest in the building tonight. First of all, I want to give a shout out to the people that are here. Shout out to Queen Style by Stevie. Shout out to Queen Amber. Shout out to everybody else that will be coming through. Those in the replay gang, those in the bushes. We welcome all of you. Okay, this is the time to actually have a conversation in a different type of way. Okay, and I'm excited for like this grassroots type of situation that's happening here. You know, the strengthening of community, and I'm excited to have conversations with individuals who want to establish that. Okay, now with that being said, y'all, I'm just kind of ready to get up into the conversation. Okay, let's welcome to the platform, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody in between, Dr. Nakumbe. Dr. Nakumbe, how are you?
Good evening, afternoon, or morning, depending on where you and your peeps are.
Yes.
Honor and pleasure to be here in your space. And I thank you and those in the chat here currently, and those who will join or listen on the replay. Thank you for the opportunity to share perspectives on BubzDaGawd space. So
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. Now, before we get into the conversation, I think it's very important, since we're doing things differently, to kind of lay down some rules of engagement, okay, so that we can, even if, which I don't think is going to happen, honestly, I really feel like it's not. I feel like the vibe is going to be kind of different. But if it happens to get a little bit heated or a little passionate, we'll still be able to get back on the topic of conversation and go down the road. We black people, we naturally passionate. It comes with the territory. But just to kind of keep us, like if you're going bowling and they put up those little rails to kind of help, especially since it's the intro conversations, let's use the training wheels, which I appreciate. So with that being said, there's going to be certain boundaries that we're going to establish in the conversation. Now, for me, when it comes down to cursing, that's just one of my ways I talk. I'm just a very free person. But I think if you're using it in a way to kind of express your point, that's okay. Now, if you're using
Right.
it to project on somebody else, that would be disrespectful. So, and I believe that me and you, Doc, we know how to express ourselves, even if we have to use those words, and it still hit the mark without it being, too much. And also, if you are triggered by anything that is said in the commentary or the conversation tonight, please let us know in the comments. Or if I say something, a doctor says, hold on, Bubs, I don't like how that sounded. Okay, let's sit down and talk about that. Let's work it out right then and there. Let's not push it over. Let's do that. So if you are triggered, let us know so that we can learn how to become better so that we don't trigger people. Even that's something that I have to learn. Okay? And the purpose for this conversation really honestly is to discuss the need and urgency for unity amongst queer and straight black men. We need more of that. And there are relationships, friendships that are building connections with heterosexual black men, queer people. And we also need to nurture those as well, because even the people who are doing that, a lot of people at large call them gay. There are some queer people who may feel like they may be gay on the DL because they're nice. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like really trying to break that down and showing what it looks like in its organic form without all of the labels attached to it. Okay. And also to explore why this unity is necessary and how it can be achieved. And let's try to work on brainstorming potential solutions. A lot of times with these conversations, we get to a place where we argue and, I can't do it no more, I have to leave. Like, nah, this is community work. This is so much shit we have to work through. So we're going to have to try to find ways to brainstorm that are realistic and that benefits everybody. Now, why are we qualified to have the conversation? Doc, do you mind going first? Because I really want you to go ahead and solidify, because people, I feel like, be playing on your top in reference to your line of work, and it's like your line of work is necessary. So when it comes down to giving you your roses for what you do, I'm always down for that. And I have
Hmm.
the pictures up too if you want me to, when you want me to
Oh,
put them
yes.
up. Yeah,
Cool.
just let me know.
Okay. Let me just back up for just a couple of spots on the agenda.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
I for your audience, and hello, Style by Stevie. Thank you for the welcoming, and anyone else that comes in. I just want to clarify the conversation. I intend, and I think we both intend for it to be authentic,
Yeah,
raw, real, safe,
yeah.
above all, safe. But
Hmm.
I think some of it, it's going to lean into areas that is sensitive.
Yeah.
And so I just want to say in advance, like, pretty much what you said, Bubs. If something is striking, usually I make an effort to say trigger, warning alert. I'm a comedian
Me too.
and
Hmm.
actor, and a lot of my work is through storytelling. And believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds, I'm actually a certified. I mean, I just took a class, a few classes, but I'm a certified storyteller. And so a lot of my
Mm,
work is through metaphors,
yeah,
through analogies, and through storytelling.
yeah,
And when I say storytell, I mean, I get into the characters, I get into the attitude, the mindset. It doesn't represent every single person, but if it lands, you'll know, you'll get that feeling like we're at church.
mm-hmm,
And so I just want to say in advance that if I'm saying something or in my theatrics, most likely I'm going to say, hey, I'm into my theatrics and I know you can't see us. So I want you to use your own imagery with this. And if there's something that's like, ouch, I'm going to ask two things. One, if I've gone too far into the deep end, let us know right here in the chat so I can correct it immediately versus an hour later saying, yeah, you kept going.
yeah,
Two, I am going to say this. I'm also going to ask that people who want to be in this space right now, and I'm a guest here, but I'm just saying if you want to be in this space, you understand in advance
yeah,
that we're going to have authentic conversation that's really about realistic stuff. And so I'm going to ask, and I don't know the term that people feel comfortable with. If it was someone talking to me, they tell me to man up, put my adult panties on, adult underwear on.
mm-hmm,
Sometimes life is tough. Suck
yeah,
it up. It's a real conversation. So a combination between, oh, did that hit a spot? Because if that hit a spot, is that really about what's going on for that individual,
mm,
or was I just that far off? So that's my
right,
only request when it comes to like rules of
yeah,
engagement and conversation, that people do two things. If it really, really, really went too far, like I was just rude, then definitely call me out. I am not above correction. And if it was just sensitive to a few individuals, and I usually say one is enough, but if it's sensitive to individuals, I
mm-hmm,
ask that you look into taking care of yourself however you need to, because that's more about whatever happened or was going on with you.
right.
Does that fair or make sense?
Oh yeah, it definitely makes sense. That's why the way that the way that you express yourself is kind of like the same way I do. I have what is known as sometimes known as gallows humor. Sometimes I
Mm.
just happen to
Hmm.
find, like when they say you have to laugh to keep from crying, sometimes that's a survival tactic to
Right,
where you find humor and stuff like that. So even the stuff that I've said that has been labeled as facetious, it's like,
hmm,
but see, you don't know me. So
right,
of course you don't really know who I am. So you just have a certain perception about me and not a perspective because you're not getting to know me to be like, oh, okay. So the fact that
right.
you shared that in the beginning, that's why I know I'm having a conversation with somebody who is qualified, not just for the conversation, but just you're able to be honest and real in who you are. And when you do that, that kind of solidifies your realness to me.
Mm,
To
hmm,
me. So I
hmm,
appreciate you doing that. So
hmm.
yes, most
You bet.
definitely.
Okay. And then
Hmm.
as far as qualifying, there's personal and professional.
Yeah.
Personal, I have family members who identify as queer. I have, I mean, like direct, just because we're on YouTube space or podcast space, I won't say who and all, but
Right.
I have direct family members who are both, one who identifies as female, queer,
Hmm.
and I may not be saying that combination correctly as far as gender. And then I have a couple of males who one identifies as gay and one identifies as queer. And actually, he didn't use that word
Yes,
Okay,
you're
so
fine. Yes, queer is cool.
yeah, no. I mean, no, I was saying he
Oh,
didn't use that word for a long time because at one point he explained to me that queer actually meant something bad.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so then
yeah.
so it was a lot of I want to say it was a lot of change. It was a lot of change for me because I didn't know. You know, one minute I was like, "Hey," he's like, "Oh, no, we don't use that." So for general
Understandable.
purposes, I have
Yeah.
personal experience with direct family members who have experienced this. And of the two males, I've witnessed one in the hospital because people did not accept uh, who they were. Another one attempted to self delete because they didn't feel heard.
Right.
And then the female, she feels heard and accepted, and blah, blah, blah. But I just want to say I have personal experience with family members. I have a few associates who, you know, you have a family member that's a doctor or a lawyer, and they say, "Oh, you're a nurse. Answer me this. When I itch and scratch, you know." So I have a few family members who, "You're the family therapist. I have a question," and so they don't ask me straight out or tell me straight out that they've experienced alternative sexual behaviors, but they know that I actually work with and have experience with BDSM and poly lifestyles. So then they just go on to ask me all kind of stuff about what about this and that and that. So I have some who've expressed um, different sexual behaviors, but then say, but that's not, I'm not gay, am I? So I have all that personal experience, and then at a job, but also very personal. I worked in Minnesota at a place worked in Minnesota at a place that's considered highly is acknowledged to be one of the top places for LGBTQ working on addiction. And while there, and this was probably about 15 years ago, while there, I was ordering pizza and paying out of my own pocket. And I said, "Hey, what do you guys want?" And I used language like that just for regular language, guys. And
Yeah.
next thing I know, this person was standing over me with one of those big, tall tin cans of hot coffee, uh, threatening to douse me with it
Oh
because
wow.
I didn't acknowledge them as a woman. And I said, I just said, "Guys, like you got," and I was sitting down on the couch, and I was probably about 300 pounds. So I was down in that couch. I mean, I was down in that couch. And so I'm standing like, "You were going to take my life because I'm ordering pizza for you and some others, but you were going to take my life because of." So that hit me also. And then professionally, I'll make this part quicker. 20 years in the industry as far as counseling, professional counseling in the areas of addiction, relationships, and work with offenders and victims of offenders, domestic abuse, both adolescent, adult, female, male, and then those who identify in alternative lifestyles. And what I mean by that is anything that doesn't meet the criteria of the general population as far as male, female. So they automatically call it alternative. So LGBTQIA. So I have that experience. I am a doctor in psychology, cognitive psychology. I have a license in addiction counseling. I have a license in clinical mental health and about 4 or 5 certifications: certified in suicide interventionist, board certified forensic counselor, certified storyteller, certified relationship coach, and certified recovery coach. And when I say certified, I mean like I took the programs or the classes or paid the extra $20. So whatever the combination was.
Okay.
And so that's me. And I'm here to have the conversation, what I call a human
Yeah.
conversation, because I can get into the gender part, I can get into he, they, she, any of that, but either way, when you talk about spectrum or the human spectrum, I represent, or I should say represent, I speak to and advocate for anyone that's on that spectrum.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So can I ask you, is it okay for me to put some of these pictures up
Oh
to
yeah, oh the
show?
pictures. Thank you.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
do. So the pictures. I also want the audience to know, or those listening now, if you're on the podcast listening, I'm going to ask that you come back and check the replay so you can see the visual part of it. Check the replay. And these pictures, I just wanted to show. Uh, Sometimes I hear on the YouTube streets, people want receipts and all that. And when it's safe, I can go get all my degrees and licenses and certifications to put them up. If you Google me, you'll find me in a few spots. But I want to show, I've actually been doing panels, ooh, easily 20, 25 years. I've been doing panels and speaking. So I'm used to the panels here on YouTube, but I'm used to doing live.
Right. Yeah.
Steven Speaks is another certified life or recovery relationship coach. He does a lot of things, but I've been on a lot of the same black people talking. I'm actually sending you one more, but international schools with minors, adults, professionals. So I'm used to speaking and doing this live. That's my 300-pound picture right there. You see?
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty swollen there, but that's me. And I'm used to cooking, folks. I mean, I'm used to actually getting in there, having those deep conversations, and so I just want you to know I have the receipts. This is not my first camping trip. I'm newer to the online version of it, but I'm used to live, where sometimes people you don't pop up talking all that craziness because again you're live, or if you did get heated, you get heated, but then because unless we're gonna break out into a fight, then it worked itself out. So I just wanted to show, again, some receipts. Not that I need to prove anything, but I don't want this to be a distraction. What's he talking about? That's not true. It may not be your experience, but it's mine. And so I just wanted to offer that to those listening or reviewing, that I'm legit, and outside of you believing that, that's on you.
Okay. And we're going to leave this picture up too, for the remainder of the live, because I do want to say something real quick before we get into the conversation. When you were talking about doing this live, I really appreciate you doing that because, for example, I ended up, because I do videography work. That's one of my little side hustles or whatever, as far as editing and stuff like that. And I have a friend of mine who got me a little side job or whatever. Pretty nice. It was good, but it was for a AIDS awareness benefit, where there were people there who lived with AIDS for 30, 40 plus years now, were there when the actual epidemic unfortunately broke out, who are still here. And when I looked out into the crowd, there weren't a lot of people. So it's kind of like when you actually ask for the community to come, you see the result,
impact or result, outcome.
The result of it, because it's like we say on these social media streets, it gives us the opportunity to pretend that we're about that life until we're called to do it, and then when we do, the numbers end up going down. So it's kind of like, now that we're really having these real conversations, I appreciate it, and I suggest that people do go out into their communities and talk to people live. Even I'm learning that right now, not to just do it online, but to actually go out into the world and do it with the people in a more community-based way. So thank you for sharing that with us and giving us the receipts, because again, you're coming with experience, not just, like you said, personally, because you're talking to these people, but you have all of the other legalities that come with it to be like, yeah, just so you know. Just so we know. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Now, as far as the conversation, I guess I want to ask you this. The conversation, in regards to the conversation, the Tuesday after last with Black Men Unfiltered, publicly, I would like for you to give me any critique that you think that I could have done better in those type of conversations publicly, so that I can be held accountable for it. What did you see in reference to my likeness on that platform?
Well, let me start first with my understanding, and then I'll give you my perspective. My understanding was the conversation, and this is where I get tripped up between video or online versus live. Because live, if the topic is, today we're talking about Oreos and milk. Now, the moderator is really the one. Remember how you were talking about that bowling? I used the bowling alley thing with the bumper rails. So the moderator is the one that's really keeping us centered as far as the bumper rails, and then we go. So when we go too far left or too far right outside of the topic of Oreo and milk, now, of course, there's all kind of areas we can go into, the ingredients of the cookies, the sugar, the blah, 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 blah. plenty of areas to go into, but if you go too far outside of cookies and milk, then the moderator brings us back together. And that's what I'm used to.
Right.
And so when I get on the panel on the electronic, the tele through video,
Right.
I think I'm still dependent. I'm still very dependent on the moderator.
Right.
Now, there are times that I'm more intent in my listening. So then I'm bursting at the seams to want to ask, what in the world does it have to do with what we're talking about or the topic? So I've learned over this short, I'm in my infant stage with this, again, online stuff.
Right.
I learned there's an entertainment value to this.
Yeah.
I learned that, you have to be I have to be crystal clear on why I'm up there, why I'm up on the panel. I've watched shows where I'm thinking to myself, why in the world is that person? They have zilch idea what the conversation's about or the experience or blah, 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 blah. And I wonder why they still sit there looking hostage. And so even for me, I have to be mindful that my piece, my offering may not qualify for the entire show. So how that relates to you and what I wanted to offer was, when I think about the title, which the title was talking about, and I don't have it off the top of my head with me, but it was something about the violence and coming together in unity, and the violence between queer Black men and heterosexual Black men, common denominator being Black. And I'll even leave off men, but just Black.
Yeah, Black, yes.
So with that, when it started getting into different areas, remember back to the cookies, we could talk about a different type of cookie because it's still a cookie. We could talk about a different flavor of milk because it's still milk.
Right.
But because I'm so centered, at least my belief is I try and stay centered on the particular Oreo and milk, then I can get lost in the conversation. So I have to pay attention or take note. And when I take note, I either show the screen, like I lift it up to show people I'm just taking note, or whatever. And some people are way better than others with staring, like staying in the camera, in the zone. Like they don't close the camera, they don't look away, they're not eating.
Right.
And then others are typing, sending out newsletters and doing whatever and catching up on emails. And so I try, and I'll say I'm about 50-50. I'm looking at the screen, but every blue moon I'm actually typing down.
Human. We all got things we still got to work out. Yeah.
Yeah. But usually it's about the conversation.
Correct.
To be transparent, and I know this was asking about you. I think I'm just giving some reference.
No,
then
go ahead,
to my answer makes sense.
We do this all the time on BubzDaGawd. Trust me, this ain't nothing new. I'm
Right.
glad to know I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So I have all these credentials and stuff, but with the trauma that I've experienced, and I know that's kind of the buzz, the word trauma. With the life I've experienced, my learning style fluctuates. I'm better usually with seeing something. I'm better at being told or modeled. So my learning style, I have to prepare myself. Like if I get into a debate, I can have the best of the debates, but I do need to prepare. Now I used to rap, and I used to rap off the top of my head. I could just free flow right there on the spot.
Okay.
As time went on, it's better if I write it down and then make a rhyme.
Right.
That being said, I think on that particular show, when we started talking about rappers and so MC such and such, that they were going to dick down and do all this stuff, at least for me, that wasn't part of the conversation for me up until the point where I started hearing about who's going to be hurt behind those words. So it was still relevant because if the topic is, or the agenda is about violence from queer men to heterosexual men, Black men, period. Well, then this was it Santana? Was this rapper and their quote, this still qualifies for the conversation. Now, many times on the panels and in debates, people start throwing flares out, and then people get distracted by the flares, and then they go off topic. But one, I'm not sure if we clarified if it was a debate or a conversation.
Yeah.
Like I'm here with you today to have a conversation, which we might have some points to debate.
Yeah.
But it is not intended for a debate.
Right.
Now, here's the challenge, and I offer it in feedback, but at the same time, I believe it's a learning process. So nothing for you to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on that right away. If it lands, great. If it
Yeah.
doesn't, great.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear in my words, and I'm gonna say it a few times because some people hear it the first time, then just take off.
Right.
I want you to, all of us to understand. You entered a wolf's den.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you entered a wolf's den. Now I knew you knew that in advance because you said, "I'm here. I'm showing up. I am prepared. I know what I'm getting into." So you're no dummy. Okay,
Right.
so we know you know. However, there's a perception, and I am guilty as all get up of doing this as well. I've done it for years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a there's this practice that I have that it could be Chicago. Now I'm from New York, but it could be Chicago, it could be New York, it could be Houston. Well, I don't know. Some folks are really bad down in Houston, but anyway, no, it could be it
Wow,
could
wow,
be Houston.
wow.
It could be anywhere that I'm comfortable going into those environments
Mm-hmm.
and having conversations. But what I forget, some people don't give a damn about.
Mm.
I forget that they might hear the first couple of words, and if it's five people, I have to split the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
One wants to hear what I have to say genuinely.
Yeah.
The other doesn't give a damn. The third is waiting for a clue or a cue from the first one that is interested, and the next one is waiting for a clue or a cue from the one that doesn't give a damn. So therefore, if the one that doesn't give a damn flinches, then the one who's ready to back them up, we got a full brawl going on because I thought that's what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I have to be mindful that when I go into these spaces, even though I'm coming from a humanistic, but I'm not going to another panel of people who are talking humanistic. I'm going to a panel of people who talk what they talk and believe in what they believe. And in fact, anything outside of that, I start as the enemy. I start as the misinformed one. And my ego can get in the way. And even my humor, I said, well, I'm coming with it's not meant to hurt anyone. It's humor. I've broken up fights before. I'm the type where if you get crazy at a restaurant, like with your child, then I'll walk over to you and say, hey, just so you. Now I usually come from the slant of, and I'm not. It's not my business. I'm just trying to help so you don't go to jail, which is different than that's wrong. Protect the children. So, because one of them can get my head taken off, or if you catch that person at the wrong time, I can have the most beautiful message in the world, the most sincere heart, and come from the most honest place. But if it doesn't land at the right timing, that person could be in a psychotic, and I don't mean crazy, I mean just like so into what they're talking about that peaceful stuff doesn't matter. And from a clinical perspective, that is more real than people realize.
Yeah.
When I'm in the zone, there are certain words that doesn't matter in that moment. You almost have to whack me. You see that in the movies and stuff where people slap, pow, wake up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my thought is, you came into that space.
Yeah.
Praise to you, salute to you.
Thank you.
But I wonder if the clinical piece, if you fully understood that no matter how well your intentions were, no matter how much of a people's person you are, no matter how much you can hold your own, if they get wild, I'm ready to go from mild to wild. I'm here. Let's do this. If you want to have fun and a good conversation, you got the one. If y'all want to get, you got the one. But when we start believing you got the one, then we have to know what goes with that territory.
Yes, yes.
So my brothers on the Black Man Unfiltered Network come from a wolf pack that says we are heterosexual.
Correct.
Period. Okay?
Right.
Regardless what they may have experienced, regardless if they did some stuff when they were kids, regardless when we're talking
Doc,
about right now, today in the conversation. So
your
even
mic
if
is a
you
little staticky
suggest,
a little bit. I'm sorry, your
oh,
mic is
oh,
yeah. Cause
better now.
keep talking.
Okay, and thanks for doing that. So I know
Yeah,
because
cause I
I'm
want to make sure we hear you, cause you over here cooking. I'm
all
go
right.
ahead, finish.
All right.
I'm over here listening. Go
Yeah. All
ahead.
right. And I'll try not to be too long-winded on some of these.
Take your
So
time. You
even if
good. You are
all
good. Go
right.
ahead.
So in the moment, see, because I'm not reflecting. Let's go back to the topic: violence amongst heterosexual and queer men, black men.
Right.
Well, I'm not going to the experience of when I was 8. I'm not going to the experience of when I was in high school in the locker room. And if I might start thinking like, why has his got that and why has he had that? I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about right now I'm married. I'm thinking about right now I have a girlfriend. Right now I'm single, but I enjoy coochie.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you say to me in the moment, the wolf pack is currently operating off being heterosexual, no matter what experiences I might have had
Correct.
or didn't have. And if you suggest, and I don't believe you did on that show, but if you suggest, well, y'all might pretend, y'all might act like, well, already now I'm defensive. So you came over to my space
Mm-hmm.
and the wolf pack,
Mm-hmm.
and you're already you're not starting well. Now again, you
Mm-hmm.
didn't start that way. In my opinion, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Now we add in a couple extra layers. Now we add in religion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of conversations about Oreos and milk, and now we added religion. That takes a
Did Jesus
totally,
bless the milk?
yeah, right. So it could fit. It could fit. Are we connected enough spiritually and religiously to where we can cut some of the violence out? So it fits,
Mm.
but that's another whole dynamic. So I'm this black man walking into Catholic church. I believe it's Catholic, and then please forgive me, I'm not that religious. Where they swing that ball and chain with the smoke coming out. What is it? Catholic?
Yes.
Okay. So I
Sage
go
move.
into
Yes.
that, and all is very quiet and smoke and glass colored windows, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking, man, y'all don't sing like where's the hey he got where's that?
Right.
But I'm in their space, and even though I was only joking, playing, serious, suggestive, were they ready for that? And if they
Mm.
were ready, I have to be prepared for the way they present their readiness.
Correct.
If not, I appear as the disrespectful one. I could appear as the disingenuous one.
Mm-hmm.
I could be seen as the bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And any group, any collective group, even in therapy, when I'm doing therapy with a group,
Mm-hmm.
let me kick someone out the group. Man, please. Some folks be coming at me.
Oh.
They're a nice person. Uh, yeah, they did blah 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 blah. What are you talking about? Well, I mean, boom. So one of the realities I say always keep in your back pocket is that by not setting that agreement on why we are here.
Right.
So that way, when we start to go too far left, or if someone says, the rapper so and so, now, whoa, 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 I just wanted to keep it clean because pride, integrity, and
Mm-hmm.
ego
Mm.
kicks up for me. I can't say it for you, but I would
Mm-hmm.
assume you are strong enough, confident enough, proud enough that if they want to go far left, hey, I'm here for that. I have my seatbelt on. Let's do it. And
Mm-hmm.
if they want to go far right, I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you set yourself up because not you personally, but anyone in
Right.
that position
Mm-hmm.
ends up then traveling down the bumpy road. And
Yeah.
if you win or if you're successful on that ride, okay, so I'm steering and I'm purposely jerking the car,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for you to fall off, and you don't. Well, yay for you. But when I had that conversation with the other drivers,
Mm.
we're not sitting there talking about, oh, wow, we were so proud of how they hung on. We are in our state of mind thinking, you see the way that motherfucker was, yeah, that's all right. Let him, my turn. Let him get in the
Yeah.
the so and so mobile. I got
Right.
something for him.
Right.
So this is not with the intent to be hurtful,
Yeah.
but this is with the intent to say, oh, so you really, and And again, there's no intention on you, BubzDaGawd,
Right.
but since you signed up, well, come
Yeah.
on this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like the five Chinese brothers. You know, one has the steel neck, one has the stretch whatever legs, whatever, but they all look alike. And so
Mm-hmm.
at some point, the
Five deadly
mob
venoms.
mentality, sounds alike, looks alike, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah, but each one is taking their turn, especially on the video
Mm-hmm.
where talking over each other, we have to wait our turn.
Yeah.
So if it's
Yeah.
10 of them and only one of you, you just got 10
Mm-hmm.
different versions or attacks or responses.
Yeah.
But remember, out of genuine, well, welcome to our side of the street.
Right.
And where I came for conversation, I think this is more. So my suggestion to you, and I'll land with this. And again, my apologies for the long-winded, more so
You
for
ain't
you
gotta
those listening in the
apologize,
audience.
Doc. This is what we do. This is
Yeah,
real
yeah, yeah.
conversation. You ain't gotta. You
Right.
good.
Where I think my suggestion to you would be one, think about your ego, think
Yeah.
about your pride, and think about your ability to do. Just because you have the ability doesn't mean it's probably the right time to do it or the right
Right.
place to do it.
Right.
And
Right.
be willing to check things out right there on the spot.
Yeah.
Because I hear the question, and I'm not going to run from it. See, that's the other problem. Some of these deeper conversations, it appears we're running from it if we don't address that particular part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't loop back around to our point,
Right.
then that might be unproductive conversation.
Correct.
Unproductive. And what comes with the risk of unproductive? Feelings, emotions,
Yeah.
arguments, boom. So that's my view on it.
Yes.
In the 30 more seconds to think about if the kind of the intricacies, yeah, I think that's right, intricacies of certain behaviors. So when it looks like you're looking down, not paying attention, hey, you guys, just so in case you see me looking down, whatever, like I said, sometimes I put my device, I put it up in the air and say, hey, just so you see, I'm taking note. I'm because I'm processing. Remember, waiting for 10 people to go. Hell, I'll go off the most recent comment or the most recent energy, or I'll get locked on one that was 5 people ago,
Mm-hmm.
5 persons ago,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm not hearing the rest of the 5 because I'm waiting for my opportunity.
Right.
So hey, just so you guys know, I'm taking note, not ignoring you, da 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 da. And even though it's kind of a no-brainer, like, well, yeah, that's what they're doing, but some people might see it as I'm not paying attention.
Yes.
Remember, I approached your neighborhood, I came to your side of the street, walked up to your project. Hi, hello. Oh, who's this motherfucker? Hey, calm down, relax. I'm unarmed,
Right.
But actually, it appears I'm unarmed. But in case any of you, I'm ready to. Okay. What's your point? Well, da 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 da. Now, while you're talking, so and so, remember what I said. The third person who's waiting for a cue from the first person, and the fourth person who's waiting for a cue from the second person. So those two are just on guard. So it's not even the one and second person I'm talking to. I'm talking to the number 3 and 4 to say, hey, or whatever numbers they are, just so you guys know, no need in flinching. When I'm doing X, Y, and Z, okay, just so we're all on the same page. There it is.
Right. First of all, I appreciate that honestly, because the one thing that I'm learning in my own life is to look at it like a student. Everything is teaching you something. It took me a long time to get to this point, but now I'm finally here. So the things that you just said to me, like, it also affirmed some of the things that I was doing, but also gave me critiques that I can work on. You are right about cutting people off. You even came up on the panel and said, to be honest, Bubs was the one cutting people off the most. And when you said that, what did I do in the moment? Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
You right. I'm sorry. I'm going to work on that. I appreciate you doing that.
No worries. But depending how you look at the conversation,
Yeah.
is an actual cutoff with the intent to cut off.
Yeah.
If you look at a conversation,
Yeah.
if you look at a debate, you take turns.
Right.
If you were there for a conversation, then just like right now, when you were going, I interject this piece, but I didn't say oops, I didn't say hold on, because if we were face to face, if we were not through the devices right here, we will be flowing with the conversation.
Correct.
So I think some of what you were doing, and I forgot who was speaking, I think it was Mr. Bennett just before me, or somebody, or one of the brothers just before me, and I said, well, no, you are not interrupting the most. It's BubzDaGawd, to be honest.
I would.
But if you look at the perspective, it was either unable to resist the urge to be heard, unable to resist the urge to be right, or I was trying to conversate and get a quick in, or else it's gone, and people left with the perception of, and I'm not trying to have that shit out there.
Right, right,
All right,
right.
so that's go ahead, brother. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, but that's why I'm glad that we're doing this publicly, because we're showing people how to do this. And in response to what you said, which I receive all of it, because like I said, it's just affirming that where I am in my life is where I'm supposed to be at. And recently I needed some sort of reminder, and I've kind of been reminded of that yesterday and just, now on the platform. In reference to me, I guess, showing up with the smoke and all that other type of stuff. The first time that I went to the panel, on one of their other Let's Talks Tuesday segments, at the end I was very respectful, and I was this, and you have that fire and that passion. The same way I kind of showed up on that second panel with me by myself, I just showed up that same way on the first panel. But because of the entertainment that was happening, because you did mention entertainment between the person who was no longer trans and another trans person, that was the entertaining aspect of it. So when it happened the second time, I was kind of confused, because after the first conversation, right afterwards, I had messaged Black Men Unfiltered on Instagram and said, we need to further this conversation, but next time I feel like we need qualified people up there to talk about it. So even if we do get triggered, we know how to get ourselves back on topic, because we are human. And I think we need to see more of that, so that we can start to have more constructive, passionate conversations. And like you said, doing it face to face and doing it online is completely different, because online I can interpret it a certain type of way. And even when I try to let you know that's not the case, because you're not in the room with me and seeing my facial expression and my energy in the room, you won't be able to see if I'm telling the truth or not anyway. And then because it's publicly, you gonna let him say that about you? Oh my, if it was me, let me get up there. So now again, the ego's being riled up. So you're right. When I went into the lion's den, I knew I was going into the lion's den. And just like David, when he went in there, I didn't leave scratch the hell up either. So I think what I was doing, knowing this, is kind of just letting other queer people know, in this point in time, you're going to have to find a way to live very emboldened in who you are. Very emboldened in who you are. And I think the way that the conversation was set up, because I laid out certain type of rules, or like things that I would like rules of engagement, all that was washed over. I said there are certain people on the panel that I want to talk to, and only 3 of them were on the panel. You were one of them, Dr. Bennett, in Tough Topics podcast. All that was swept to the side. But when the real truth came out, which is what I wanted, because one of my biggest objectives when I went over into the lion's den was not trying to change their mind. I wasn't trying to do that, because I'm not going to argue with people who already have their mind made up. That's some insanity type of stuff. But what I am going to do is for the people over there that do have the ear to hear, that might be like, I still may not understand, but I'm willing to understand now, because you're coming with a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm reaching out to them, and also showing what queer phobia through fear looks like. Right. How people react, especially in the Black community. Go ahead.
Right. So I just want to clarify, the people who wanted to hear, you mean coming from your channel?
No, I'm talking about there are some people who are over on Black Men. Yes. Yeah. People who are subscribed to Black Men Unfiltered who listen to what I say. Like, for example, one of the individuals who were on the panel, beautiful queen, Take Heed, after hearing their recap, I went to her live to look at her recap, and she said that she enjoyed my company over there as far as the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I did say something that did trigger her, but even in my response, I told her that I apologized for that, because that was not the case. I should have been more maybe clear in what I was saying to give more context and nuance. But then again, if I was to do that on the panel, you're talking about something else. So again, like you said, having conversations with people who aren't really qualified to speak on it is where I have the issue at. But that's how a lot of people in the Black community, unfortunately, view queer people. And I kind of wanted them to just see that. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think you're spot on. Here's, again, a challenge that I don't think is really spoken about often. I don't want to say it's clinical, but it's not spoken about often. Right. So when I listen to you, my first question would be, what did you go over there for? What was your intent? And I heard you say to talk to the people who want to listen and to hear and have the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did.
Mm-hmm.
You did talk to the people who want to hear the shit you're talking about,
Right.
who want to have the conversation. So we can make this very clear.
Mm-hmm.
But you say, well, I even asked specifically for. So let me put this back into my analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I walk into someone's neighborhood. I walk into the projects, and I happen to know of. I had a couple of times when the Boys and Girls Club back in the day with G Money, and I walk over to my, hey, man, y'all invite me over, cool. Now it's G Money. I like G Money to be there, and Baby Cakes and some couple other people,
Mm-hmm.
and they might show up. But also representative number 2, 3, and 4. Also, they are also interested. And the challenge that we don't speak about, I think, wide enough. I don't think it goes wide enough in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going into my theatrics with it, but not for performing, but to give it some oomph
Yeah.
and some
The
perspective.
storytelling.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how far back into however many shows you went into and said, well, I left feeling pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so one mindset is, did he think that he just greased our asses? He left here with a big smile and shit.
Not the gay
Now,
man greasing up their asses. No, hell no.
yes,
Pause.
yeah, oh,
Pause. Pause.
if,
Go ahead.
yeah, but if it's you're coming to talk unity, I'm
Yeah.
going to the projects to talk about. We can all share public transportation, whatever the hell it is.
Right.
And I leave there feeling good about what I said, but I represent excellency, company, transportation, da da da. I represent a group, a crowd, a belief, an ideology, whatever. I represent a life. I represent a human life
Yeah.
that may not qualify with yours or match yours in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment, may not match.
Right.
Because if I said tonight, Susie and Shaniqua are going to do a train. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying? That some people will show up, but then later say, I don't get down with that. Well, no, that was them. Oh, but you just didn't get, no, that. So we can always debate who does what.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
here's what comes with it that's not spoken about.
Mm-hmm.
You felt good about that conversation. One has to wonder why. What's he up to?
Mm.
What's he up to? Nothing. I just felt good that we actually made it happen. I came over with blades and everything ready. I came armored up, and you guys are way more respectful than I thought. Yeah, okay. So the fact that you came armored up tells us you came on some bullshit.
Mm.
That's the perception right at the gate. The fact that you came. Why did you come with a sword, gun, and shield-plated armor? Oh, I just came for a good comment. Bullshit. Now, the same thing in the projects. If they say, why are you packing? I just, in case it pops off. So you wanted to have a respectful conversation, but you assume already in case it pops off. I ain't assuming shit. I know where I came, and I know the dangers that go there. I'm not a total idiot, so I am prepared. I'm not just coming over here blindly.
Right.
So even though that sounds legit, let me add one more piece.
Mm-hmm.
Well, BubzDaGawd, did we actually consider this?
Mm-hmm.
The last conversation went well, but the conversation before that, and the year before that, and the year before that, and the decade before that, and the decade before that. So when you say I went into a space where I know I'm not welcomed, welcomed when? 2023, 2022, maybe during COVID 2019 or 2020. Are we talking about the Harlem Renaissance? Or we're talking about 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago when it was not welcomed then? So why in the world would it be welcomed now? Did we take that into consideration? I have never been welcomed. Anything from this time when the man said, I represent X, Y, and Z, we lead, if it was heterosexual, whatever the case was, when it was a white man, it was when whoever made it known that they lead, and that anything that doesn't look like them, sound like them, act like them, form like them, or comply to their whatever, that's when it started. So that being said, we may not have been alive then. Physically, I was not alive then. But guess what's in my backpack? Guess what's in my bag when you come over? I already have 100 years
Yeah.
of no approval for your kind. So when you come to have this conversation, I'm ready. Yeah. Hey, what's up? You leave with a smile. I look in the bag, wonder, one, has this been played before? Two, what is he up to? Three, I'm even comparing, like, 100 years later, he might be on some slick shit. You would say, no, wow, really? It gets that deep? I just came for a regular conversation. Who's doing all that thinking? I just want to say that's the part that we don't talk about. We don't
Yeah.
talk about the fact that we're talking about heterosexual, the majority of people who feel like it goes by what we say. I don't want to make it sound like it's them. I'm heterosexual and I'm part of the privileged group to say this is how it goes. Well, says who? Says me, the doc. Uh, so what about the person with the, and I don't know what they call them. I don't want to give them a name. I'm just going to do some identifiers. The people who have to play in the Special Olympics, did they ask to be here? What about the people who are in a different part of the world and all they grow up is in war and slum and
Yeah.
all that? Did they
Yeah.
ask? So we don't talk about the fact that I'm privileged. I didn't ask for what I have. And so sometimes when we're slamming folks, and I'll say this later for the later part of the conversation, I just want to say all that's thrown out the window. So when you present, that's cool, but what's in my back pocket are what my generation after generation after generation after generation, what we consider to be normal, acceptable. And so you didn't fit in back then and you don't fit in now. And that's the energy that we have to be prepared for.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying
Everything.
it's right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's a
That's the
perspective
reality.
that, yeah, that we, myself, I don't include. I go to the white people thinking, yeah, yeah, yeah. You have never liked my black ass. But because I had a social worker 20, 30 years ago that helped take care of me, I'm thinking, wow, times have changed. Mm, so I'll land them.
No, everything you said was absolutely right. That's why, see, I understand your perspective and your perceptions when it comes to, again, the human mind, the emotions, the all the context and nuance that's left out. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Hmm.
even with me going over there, like, I've even told people on my Instagram, like, I was nervous. I was
Hmm.
nervous, and these were the same people who said, "Come back and let's have a conversation." I know it wasn't going to be a conversation, but I was still going to do my part because, like you said, historically speaking, it's always been groups of oppressed people who, unfortunately, have to always burden or show the burden of proof of what's happening. So it's
Hmm.
like when you go over there, and that's why I call it fear, because I wasn't able to go over there and be authentically me and share my own experience, because my experience also involves a lot of things from heterosexual people as well for the majority
Yes,
of my life. And that same
correct.
energy is still happening today, to where there are younger queer people who are going through the exact same thing as the previous generation. And especially when we talk about blackness, that's something we've all unfortunately experienced. We've all been
Right.
under this survival type of mindset. And it's kind of like we also have the opportunity to free ourselves as well.
Hmm.
But it's like, if we're going to really be about blackness, we have to really be about all of blackness. And there are queer people right now that have contributed to blackness. When I bring up history, when I bring up the receipts and all the lives I've done on my YouTube channel with stats and scholastic journals and
Hmm.
articles and experiences, and actually talk about it, there's that fear of, oh, we just don't care. And that is the part that hurts. But then, in order for you to care about queerness, you have to benefit from it. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like, that's a very dangerous type of energy, because that's like an oppressor type of energy. So I knew
Hmm.
exactly what was going on going over there. But see, if I never would have went over there, I would have never been able to connect with someone like you, Dr. Nakumbe, to be able to even
Hmm.
have this conversation. So I already knew that I was going to be going to hell, but Christ went to hell and conquered it so that we all have an opportunity to do it. So I just
Yes.
wanted to show queer people like, hey, you have the right to live your life. And even when I talked about the smoke part, and you were right in your critique about it, it was a defense mechanism because I understand the reality of what life is, which is why
Hmm.
I tell the queer people, and even some of the men over there said, well, maybe you need to tell queer people to go ahead and get strapped up. I've been telling them that. What's going to happen if once the situation pop off and the queer person actually survives the encounter this time, and the
Right.
person who did it to them doesn't? Now
Right.
we all have the conversation, and even after the live, and I did my response to it, they did their live, and all of the truth that I knew that they were walking in, unfortunately, fell out. They
Hmm.
told me that I was mentally ill, that I am a woman. And I know all this. I know they were going
Right.
to say all that, but it was to show queer people that, look, people going to talk about you, they're going to doubt you, they're going to play in your face. You have the power to stand in your own truth and not be afraid. Does it come with a lot of dangerous shit? Of course. As I'm growing in my advocacy, I have had a lot of conversations about my life possibly being taken from me because I'm
Right.
walking in my truth. But
Right.
at the same time, that don't have to be the case either. I can be on my Harriet Tubman energy. She
Hmm.
survived and went to hell
Hmm.
again and again and again. So it's just to inspire. And the fact that there are other people who they may not understand queerness as far as the actual experience, but they have a level of empathy and
Right.
understanding and humanity. Those are the individuals that are very important, especially from what my mission is.
Right.
So
So, but
go ahead,
okay.
go ahead.
So, and if yeah, like the piece by piece for a second.
Yes, yes,
So,
please.
one, it's not just your defensiveness; it's all of our defensiveness.
Correct,
Both
correct.
both sides.
You're right.
Both sides.
You're right.
Now, even though I can't speak for them individually, I'm speaking in general that everyone has a
Mm-hmm.
defense. And if I'm saying you came to our side and we're already prepared, then that's a defense.
Yeah,
We are
that's right.
prepared defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So, and as far as having queer experience, name a person who doesn't know a person who hasn't been in jail. And I would say, name a person who doesn't know a person that hasn't had what we would call an experience, a
Mm-hmm.
thought, a fantasy. I mean, from a 1 year old baby getting their diaper changed, they've never watched corn, they've never looked at a magazine, they've never been talked to about it, but yet you change their diaper and they have an erection.
Mm.
So that's already above our like human control. I mean, as far as some person influencing the 1 year old baby already has an erection. So then when I say don't go into the schools influencing, and don't turn them on and get them turned out, but the 1 year old had already been erect getting their baby a diaper change and had nothing to do with anyone announcing anything. And the
Right.
reason I say that is because then when you start thinking through the stages of life,
Mm-hmm.
there's no one that can tell me. Now, remember, I study human behavior and human development. So there's no, they can say it all they want. People can bullshit all they want. But the reality is, everyone has gone through a stage where there's a feminine side that's more present and a masculine side that's more present. There's no person in this world, I don't care where they were born, they can BS you all they want, they can yell as loud as they want, they can stand up like a fucking King Kong monster, they can do whatever they want. There's no one in this world that's human that has not gone through some type of questioning,
Mm.
some type of wondering.
Right.
How come that person has hair? How come that person got hard? How come one boob is bigger than the other boob? There's no human. Now, again, people might present that way on the panel, like they've never, ever, ever. I just listen, but that's bullshit.
Oh,
And I don't need to debate it because I know what the human experience is.
exactly.
So for you, when you think, well, I got defensive, thank you for taking ownership. We got defensive.
Mm.
I come with queer experience. They probably don't. I bet they know somebody who knows somebody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we don't have direct experience, or we don't have direct experience that we speak to.
Yeah.
That we speak to.
Yeah.
I started your live today by saying, well, and this other experience because I have personal experience with
Yeah.
poly. See, I put that out there, personal. So anyone in your audience who says, oh, I would never. I would never, oh, I would never. Y'all got me twisted. I would never. Then I asked this question. Hey, you ever been cheated on? And they said, well, yeah. And I said, huh. How long did that person cheat? How long was it? It was 2 years. So that person cheated on you for 2 years. Now, in that time, did you know? No, that's what's so messed up about it. We spent quality time together. I went down on them. I didn't taste
Uh-oh.
anything different. It was beautiful. Yeah. So you mean to tell me all this time they had some other coochie and the relationship just flourished? And now that you know about it, how's the relationship been going? It's tanked. It's like crap. So now that you know, you actually
Come on
have
now.
been in a multi-person relation. You might not have
Ooh,
approved of it. Yeah, because poly is about consent. I get it. But when you say I never, you have.
didn't even know it.
So anyway, how that relates, I don't mean to laugh, but
No, that was good.
how that relates, I could put that out there. And for the person who tells me I would never, I just, oh, okay, cool. But there is always a person that knows a person.
Yeah.
There's always one in the family, I want to say. So out of 10 people on the panel, you don't think the odds that someone up there, but they don't want to speak to it. We in general don't want to speak to stuff like that. So it appears is that's why you can get caught in that trap of saying, well, I just want to be honest and I apologize. I said, no, save the apologies. Here's my suggestion. Well, we all have different experiences that we are willing to speak to and that we're not willing to speak to. I came over to your side to tell you about my experiences.
Right.
You are telling me about yours. And when we start getting off into other people's, well, we can't speak for them.
Right.
Just like right now, I can't speak for anyone on that panel to say what they've experienced and what they not, other than to say if they are human,
Right.
then more likely or not, they have had an experience. They may not have penetrated, they may not have touched, they may not have romanced. They have had some type of thought in their head about something that's different than the regular, so to
Yeah.
speak, heterosexual sex. And so, since that's the case, and then for the odd person who hasn't, because there's people who's demisexual and different type of sexuals
Mm-hmm.
where they will have sex with a giraffe if they fell in love with it.
Okay.
As long as they have to have an emotional connection, not a physical connection. So I get it. There's different type of sexual approaches or identities or different things like that. But for the most part, and I'll land with this, I just want to offer you um, more praise than you're actually giving yourself and saying that, yeah, you were defensive. We all are. We all
Yeah.
were and are. Remember, we start in defense, especially if you come over armored, we start in defense. Second thing is, we don't have to share in the same experience. And that's the reason why we are having the conversation, because since we don't share
Right.
in the actual experience per se, but we get the same results. And that's a bunch of dead brothers who were
Yeah.
treated by someone else disrespectfully. And when we tried to stand up for ourselves, we would delete it. Then on top of that, tables were flipped, turned, twisted,
Yep.
pivoted, whatever you want to call it, where we end up fighting each other. So then we're taking each other out. I mean, damn, that's working. That's working swell for somebody's agenda.
Wow.
Somebody's agenda that just works beautifully. That we're taking each other out, and then on top of that, whatever we have left to try and fight whatever else, we're depleted
Yeah.
because, well, when we were out here fighting, we were too concerned about the person if they were sucking dick or not. What?
Oh, come
What?
on. Come on.
What? That was your worry? Because if we don't get this shit together, we'll be doing some more than sucking some dick. We won't have a, you get it, all the stuff we already went through. I didn't personally experience,
Ain't gonna
I
be no
didn't
more dick
personally
sucking, okay?
experience it, but our family line did.
Yeah.
And we are working hard to not have that shit happen again.
Right.
And so the reality will we be, you never know with the way the world's going. I better learn Cantonese as far as I'm concerned, man. I better
Okay.
learn that Chinese, quit playing.
All right.
I'll land there.
Whew. Y'all, and see, I feel like these are the conversations that really need to happen, the human conversation, because you're absolutely right. Even in my opening statement on both of the lives, that's why I made sure to preface um what my intention was. You know what I'm saying? And I told him, I said, I was a little bit nervous because I want to try to establish something, but like you said, because I'm going into the wolf's den, I'm a human being, I'm going to be nervous. But now I have the opportunity to transmute that into something that's going to benefit me so that I can grow from it. Because if those people, if the people were willing to actually listen, and because here's, I feel like would be like my dream live over there, which I know would never happen. My dream live would be to allow the queer people to have the floor. Let them be up on the live. Let them share their stories. If they want to answer people in the chat, they can. And then towards the end of the segment or maybe an after show, they can talk to the people from the comments. But what kind of gagged me was the stuff after the fact.
What gagged you? What do you mean? What gagged
Oh,
you? We weren't up to.
yes, yes.
Hold
Okay,
on,
this
man.
is gay 101. This is gay 101. Okay.
All right,
There's a
all right.
term called gag in the community
Yeah,
to where it's like it's shocking to you, like it
right.
shocked you. You're taken aback.
Got it. Got it.
So
Now,
see how easy that was.
yes, yes,
What
but I'm gonna go deeper. Let me. Oh,
right?
that sounds even crazy, right? But let me go deeper. I, I
Little
just gave you an example of what I want to offer you.
hmm
When we talk about fear, like man, and to be honest, I'm human. I was a little nervous. I'm ready. I'm
yeah,
ready, but I'm a little nervous. I did it. Came out of it unscathed. Cool.
right.
Well, let me be transparent. And I wouldn't
Yes,
call mine nervous, but a hesitation.
that
Hesitation. A
understandable.
few
Yes,
times I've listened to your lives, and I've wanted to jump on. I even wanted to jump in the panel, the chat, like, hey, what's up? Pay my respects, and I do that on all types of
yes,
channels,
and I
right? Because
appreciate you for that. Thank you.
you bet. Now I started calculating, like, and you didn't know this, but I started calculating the. Wait a second, let me replay. So I listened to one of your shows, 5 hours. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker talk forever.
Hell yeah. I'm
5
trying to
hours.
figure out how to get paid for it. You out there, you
Yes.
traveling and all that stuff. I'm trying to be on that level. Let me
Right,
be on some
right,
panels and talk. Go
right.
ahead.
But I listened to that 5 hours, and coincidentally, it's just hypothetically, but no, coincidentally, I don't hear shit about I'm gonna fuck somebody, I'm the top, my dick go, okay? The
It
shows where
certainly
I come
does.
on, the shows I come on, hey, what's up, Bubs? I'm in the audience. Blah, 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 blah. About a good half an hour later, a good hour later, coincidentally, that show, I'm the top. I get down on mines. I put that dick down. It's like, huh, now, how come the shows I pop up on, you know, I- let me listen to this other one. Let me listen to this other one. 4 hours on. Da 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 da. I'm smoking weed. Da 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 da.
Amen for the
Dropping
weed.
nuggets. Dropping platinum bombs. I'm like, God damn, this good shit. Good shit. I don't
Amen.
jump in the show. Nothing. I jump on one, and within an hour, yeah, because I. So anyway, how that relates. So I wouldn't call it a fear, but already in the back of my mind.
Mm,
Well, one of the things I'm gonna come over to your show. But we don't need to be talking about who fucking who and blah 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 and all the hetero and all the who's the dime, who's the top.
mm,
And so just now when you said um, gag, and I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean? So
okay.
my ultra alert, not fear, but just prepared.
Okay. Okay.
So now again, I'm saying this casually because it wasn't a big fear, but it was in my back pocket in case we had that conversation. Because I'm also
Mm,
looking at how I align with all this conversation, how I align and blah blah blah. And so
right.
when I start hearing that, am I co-signing? Yeah, you are Bubs the God, big dick. So no, keep that out the right. Keep that out the conversation. So when you say gag, and I said, whoa, what do you mean? You quickly say, oh no, let me explain, let me
Yeah.
teach. I received and I agree with you. See how easy that was?
Yeah.
So you flip it. If you go into the den, and remember, you start with the comment of, or I don't know if you started, but at some point in the beginning when you say, I'm here for all the smoke.
Mm,
Well, so you came armored up, even though you say you don't plan on using it, but out of common sense, and then you're ready for the smoke. So right away, that would have been our opportunity to say, well, wait a second. Are we having a conversation? Because we weren't planning on smoke, but since you mentioned it, let us not fail you. We'll provide you
understandable.
with the smoke.
Understandable.
So
Hmm.
for all of us, you and I and those listening
Yeah.
on any stream from any channel, I say be aware of our biases, be aware of our concerns, be aware of our fears, be aware of our nervousness, be aware of our confidence. And if we hear something that's going to challenge that, think in advance, how do you challenge it so you maintain your comfort? Maintain your comfort as you and I just modeled. Whoa, what do you? No. It's a thing now. It's a thing. Cool. Thank you. Just that simple. So that's just my suggestion for anyone listening in, and for us even, moving forward. Like, oh, so I just want to be transparent to say, well, I give you an example. Even I wasn't too worried about it, but it was something in my back pocket.
Right. And that's what I appreciate. Like, I try my best to really, with everything that I do, to, like you say, apply some sort of humanistic type of approach to it, which is why on my live I be all over the place. At 1 minute I be talking about this, then that, and that. I think I might have, and I don't really like trying to diagnose myself. Maybe I need to go see more about it, but maybe ADHD, because I've been told that. And there are some benefits from it though. Like, I have very good, excellent memory, but if you ask me to do something in the past 30 seconds, I said something. What did I say? You know what I'm saying? Black man said, let's get the numbers up. Send me the link. Black man, listen, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak, but I kind of want to do something different here. You're more than willing to ask questions in the comments. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to you, but I kind of want to be able to kind of go a little bit deeper in the conversations, and I feel like Dr. Nakumbe is qualified for that. So maybe in a future live or something, we can organize something for that to happen. But I would hope that you can let the people know we're going live and get them in the comment section so that maybe we can be able to have it in a more contextual or nuanced way. Okay, so shout out to you, Black Men Unfiltered, in the chat. And please, for the people who are mods in my chat, don't block nobody. Don't time nobody out unless they're being completely disrespectful. Let them ask questions. This is the purpose. And going into the conversation more, I have a few questions that I wanted to ask on the live that I didn't get an answer to. And since you're here, I would like to ask you a few of those questions. And also, if you have any questions you would like to ask me, that's perfectly fine as well. So okay, I guess I'll ask you this. Dr. Nakumbe, how did you become comfortable enough to connect yourself with other people that a lot of society teaches us you shouldn't surround yourself with those individuals? Like, how did you get to a place to where you could actually walk like in what is known as your Christ energy to say, you know what, I can understand some of the fears. Hell, I might play into some of the fears too because of what I've been taught as well, but I'm willing to face them. Like, how did you get to that point? I hope that made sense. Did that make sense?
Oh yeah, it made sense. I was
okay,
just
laughing. I was want to be sure.
Yep, okay. I was snickering at my answer because it's twofold as always with me. But
Black man, you are welcome. You are welcomed in the chat. You can still give your opposition in the comment section. We already had our conversation twice. I kind of want to do something different. Now, if you want to plan something else in a more neutral space, maybe we can have Dr. Nakumbe, if we get to that point, play as the mediator to have the control to be able to keep the conversation going, since he is an individual that does this not just on but off. So maybe that can be the case. But you're still welcome to share your thoughts in the comments, Black man. We appreciate you. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doctor. You were saying.
The reality kicked in for me one day when I realized, and again, it's my own kind of weird thinking. It's my thinking. But when I realized I was born to die, I was born and I have a death date. I don't know it. Even if I planned it,
right?
I didn't know before I planned it what the date is. And I think about my life experience and how I've been treated, and I say, man, I don't understand when these events come from your own birth mother. It must be, I started studying different things. Like, well, maybe my family line, a witch, maybe a witch cast a spell on us. Maybe my family line, we owe some debts. Maybe my family line, they said, we're gonna get you, we're gonna curse your son. And And then as far as the fear, what's crazy is a lot of my strength comes out of pain. And if I soothe my pain, I feel like I then get too soft. And then my protector doesn't have a job. And when my protector's laying low, it seems like a lot of shit comes my way. So I always feel like I have to stay on guard, and I have to be willing to have these conversations, and I have to be willing. Like the other day, I was on someone's channel and they were saying F black women, the hell with black women, the hell with black women. And I said, no, please. If you would do me one favor, because I come on your channel and I don't ever ask for a single red penny. I come on your channel and I don't ask for shit, but I drop as many nuggets as possible. I drop stuff that I charge people $100, $200, $300 per hour. I drop nuggets that if they call me in the courtroom to testify, I would charge them $500 per session. Now, they don't call me often, but when I do go to testify, and so here I am for free, free. Now, how that relates is because I'm not asking for money, but what I'm saying is I give back to you. I pay it forward the same way someone put their boot in my ass and said, no, you are not going to be a failure. Exactly. You are going to survive the New York foster care system. You are going to survive physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse. You are going to survive. You are not the trauma that you lived. You are going to survive. And then I said, okay, I'm going to pay it forward, because the same way these people, I couldn't even tell you if they had a high school diploma. The people who put their energy into making sure I was successful. The people who, if there was some violence, they put me behind them. I got to witness, not as a good thing, but I witnessed the violence, but they made sure I would be the last to be impacted by it. But little do they know, what I witnessed impacted me also. Right? So you watch somebody go down, that's just as impactful psychologically as if you go down. And so a lot of my courageousness is out of the pain that I had before, and knowing the final outcome is death, regardless of at the hands of this person or that person. They're both the messenger. If I go somewhere and I get slayed, that messenger is the person who slayed me. Not that I wanted it, but when did I ever want it? Now, of course, we're not talking death when I'm on these panels, but the reason I'm able to look at a more humanistic view is because why this white dude, and I didn't know much about black versus white. I'm from New York, Spanish, Harlem, a melting pot. I didn't know much about white versus black. But when that white dude, Mr. Phil, showed up at my school play, and I didn't ask him to, my mama couldn't make it. And then I was like the town crier, ding-a-ling-ling-ling, 6 o'clock and all is well. That's all I did throughout the play. And this dude, I was like the 6th person to bow. And when I bowed, all of a sudden I heard, what the, Mr. Phil? Mr. Phil taught me to show up. And now later in life, when I started learning about white versus black, the time when my dad told me he was on the Greyhound with one of my cousins as a baby, and he asked them, the white only people, hey, can I just get this bottle filled up, please? I don't need to come in. And they went and filled it up with toilet water.
Wow.
And when he told me that story, F Mr. Phil. F anyone who's white. But I was at a crossroad, because I had this white dude who was there for me, came to my school on parent night. I tell myself I wasn't the brown noser, but I sure was friendly with the teachers. But I went to parent teacher night knowing my parent wasn't coming, just to do odds and end things to help teachers out. And then all of a sudden some dude knocking on the door talking about, yeah, I'm his parent. What? Mr. Phil, hey man, you are not my dad. And he leaned into me ever so gently and asked, well, where is he? I was like, God damn it. So this dude taught me to show up. And then I start standing for those who can't stand. I start talking for those who can't talk. Then when I went out of the country, and I'm not talking about these passport pros. I've been going out of the country since 2008. After finally getting my passport, child support finally all paid up. Got my passport, boom, India, Philippines, Tokyo, Africa, places. Well, now, and Singapore, but now Africa, Actually, the plan there was to go to work with the kids who are let in the camp, who are rejected by society because they have an illness, HIV. So there's no such thing as a camp like that. Everyone protects their own and love their own. Hmm. Hmm. Because I was told in Africa, all families, the culture, and blah blah blah, and they live like that. India, you mean they dropping kids off? Same thing, just because they. Hmm. I
Wow.
thought. And then
Thought.
as much as I, huh?
No, I was saying you said you thought I was right. I mean, I was agreeing
Oh,
with you.
right.
I'm sorry. I give
So
isms and stuff and amens in the
yeah,
background.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. So I started learning these experiences, seeing these things, and then I had to realize no matter what people want me to believe, there's some realities out there that people aren't speaking to.
Correct.
And the only reason I got into psychology was again, Mr. Phil and a few others, my last foster mom who said, "This will be your last foster home. I know you already been through 7 of them. This is gonna be your last foster home." Watch the sacrifices that she went through. I couldn't appreciate them when she did it, but she told the truth. I never been in another foster home after hers. 3 years. And so after experiencing some brothers who, like I said, I watched go down in front of me and feeling paralyzed, like I can't, and then being asked. I mean, you see this in the movies, but being asked by one of the brothers, "Don't ever forget this. This is not your life. Don't ever forget this, and this is not your life." One, I felt cheated, like, well, I'm gonna make it my life. I'm gonna be. This is gonna be my life. But I start learning and learning about human behavior, and I said, "Shoot, man, I need help."
Mm.
So when I went and got help, it was supposed to be just a weekend retreat. My mentor, I did martial arts, Chung Mu Do in Minnesota. It's supposed to be mixed martial arts, nothing like today's mixed martial arts. Martial arts. We just learned different styles.
Right.
But my instructor said, "I want you to go down to Dallas. They're gonna open up a new school." And when I went down there, I figured martial arts would be the way, make me more confident. Anyway, I went to this weekend retreat, yoga. And I got there and they were all stretching out and stuff and big mirrors and stuff. And I could see camel toes and butt cheeks and all. I'm like, man. That instructor came over to me and said, "Yeah, you're at the wrong place."
Uh-oh.
But I was thinking, no, I can't. Like, I got to complete this weekend because my instructor, I was like, no, 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 I'm focused. And by the end of that weekend, this dude read me my rights like he had known me for decades. And I was like, "God dang." And I was so impressed. I said, "I want to do like what you just did. Teach me that." And you don't want to learn this. Make a long story short, I ended up being there a year, a
Wow.
full year. No school, no work, no nothing. Nothing. Just at that, I didn't know at that time it was a training facility, but being at that camp, a yoga camp, but learning cognitive skills,
Yeah.
how I feel,
Yeah.
why I feel, and how I act. That's all I could do was focus on that. Why I feel, how I feel, and then learning about different people. And when I learned this, I never asked for what I have, but I am responsible for
Yeah.
what I have.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
said, from that day forward,
Yeah.
I'm more than willing to speak for anyone or to anyone who doesn't understand or doesn't realize you never asked for this. And who am I to project? Who am I to tell you? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? The best I could do is offer you some support. If you accept it, great. And if you don't, great. But I don't need to be in your way. And that's my long answer, but that's my answer to how I got to the belief system that I have.
And it kind of baffles me that when that's kind of like when I speak about black men tapping into their emotional side and not letting society tell you that that's gay, but to actually find out what it is for you and your own unique expression. That's again how you open yourself up to humanity. That's how you tap into your empathic nature, which you're going around the world. You're doing these things to help people, and God's source universe has found a way to provide for you in the process. So even when you were talking about paying things forward, that's how you stay blessed. In order for you to receive, you have to give, and you give very charitably. To where again you sit down and you listen to people's experiences, and that's what we need more of. And that's why I said, like, even going into the lion's den, I know that everything is working for my good. That's what I'm learning now. as
Hmm.
far as applying faith in my own life and realizing that I can make it with my quirks, with my isms, where I am right now. I don't have to be at a certain level. God's source universe can use me where I am, just like how He did in the story you just shared.
Right.
You went in there and didn't know what was going to happen, but someone just told you, one of your instructors told you, go there, not knowing that spiritually, energetically, you were going to grow from that and be better. And that's what I want for
Hmm.
black men. Even,
Right.
and you said it so beautifully earlier, all of black men, because I am a same gender loving black man who wants to be with another black man. So of course I want my black man to show up in a high vibratory state as well. But I also
Hmm.
have to make sure that I show up the same way for him. So I
Right.
think that when we show up in our humanity more, God's source universe will provide. Like it says that He provides for the sparrows. What makes you think He's not going to provide for you? So you're like a living
Hmm.
testament to that. And for
Right.
me, it's just I wish that you could get more of your roses over there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because when it come down to the entertainment aspect, I feel like that has more precedence than the actual education, which is why we need edutainment, a blending of all of that. And you
Hmm.
bring that, and I'm trying to bring that, and that's why these conversations are very important, because again, you're doing
Right.
things that actually benefit the community, and you're not asking for anything in return because you already know you're going to be provided for. And I want more black people to
Yes.
realize that.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yes and no.
Okay. Yes. Hmm.
So here are the pieces that don't get talked about.
Right.
Well, let me ask you first.
Hmm.
Why do you want this? For you, why do you want it? What is it that you, even though you just said it, I know you just said it,
Hmm.
but let me ask you a very pointed question. What is it that you want and why do you want
I want to, even in my own personal life,
it? Just in general, this
in
the
general.
reason I'm on the show today, the overall purpose of you going over there, what is
Okay.
your
Okay.
main reason and why?
My main reason is to help establish community and show what that actually looks like. Even
Okay.
if you have to go into very dangerous spaces and places.
Okay. And why?
Because, just like you mentioned, there were people who went through dangerous spaces and places for me to even have the opportunity to even speak. For example, we're on the internet. We're not on the nigga version of the internet. We're not on the Timu version of the internet. We're on the internet. There
Hmm.
are people who have put their lives on the line for us to be better. And for me in my own personal life in 2018, I share this on my channel a lot. I went through what is known as an ego death because of a relationship that did not work out. I was choosing other people and I wasn't choosing myself. And when I finally started taking responsibility for that, it was so traumatic to the point to where I thought about self-deleting.
Hmm.
But I didn't know that was a transformational shift for me to love myself and get what God really has for me, because now I have to rely on me and not anything outside of me. So
Hmm.
once I started to do that, and a lot of these books that I've been reading, they've always had this common thing. If you want to achieve something, you have to help other people achieve things too. And if I
Hmm.
have the opportunity to be a voice for the voiceless, because I also empathize and been through the experiences of the voiceless, it's
Hmm.
kind of like what you're doing. You want to be able to, again, raise awareness and change lives. It's just I'm trying to figure out what does that look like through the lens or the unique expression of BubzDaGawd. I
Hmm.
hope that long ass answer
No,
answered
that
the
was good.
question.
That
I
was
hope
good.
so.
Yeah,
Because
it does.
again, allegedly I'd be going off the point. I don't know,
No, no.
but that's why I appreciate you. Because again, because you've put in the work,
Hmm.
in reference to humanity, you're able to
Hmm.
follow the dots. It's kind of like, and I'm gonna say this, and then you can go ahead. Um, it's like in this anime called Dragon Ball Z, right?
Mm.
These Super Saiyans, when they start fighting, they're fighting so fast that you can't blink. If you blink, it's gonna seem blurry to you. You have to be in the present moment, which means you can't blink. That means your
Right.
eyes getting dry, and they fighting for hours.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you've kind of are mastering that to where it's like, okay, look, No matter where you're gonna go in the conversation, I bet you I can meet you there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most important part. And I'll land my plane. My
Okay.
Southwest Delta Airline plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Here's the reason why I ask, and here's the part I want to say that people don't talk about.
Yeah.
And this is the part that catches us in a jam.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna be long-winded, so buckle up. Here we
This is bubble. Look, at this point, this is not look. Shout out to ICDC College. People need it, girl, but this is a
Yeah.
master class. And
Right.
like he said, he dropping stuff that people got to pay for. So at this point, it's time to pay attention because I'm gonna learn
Right.
that too. Trust me, I'm
Right.
gonna get paid for my shit too. But go ahead.
All right. So I come from a history of trauma, and if I'm not mistaken, you do as well.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
anyone who has an adverse experience, also AKA trauma, and the adverse experience does not have to be some of the things I mentioned: abuse. It could actually be something positive. This is the example I give most. Two parents working. I asked one parent, "Hey, would you stay home with me?" And I speak in general terms. So let me just speak in usually I say father, mother. So I asked the dad, "Will you stay home?" And he said, he's nice about it. No, shorty, Daddy can't do that. I have to work. He leaves. What no one knows, the kid doesn't know it at 5 years old, and the dad doesn't know it at 25 years old. What got planted in my subconscious mind is abandonment, neglect. Okay, because he's leaving. He's not going to be able to have time for me, even though something positive. I'm going to double down. I go to mom and I say, Mom, you don't have to stay the whole day. Will you at least do 1 hour? Now, remember, I'm talking about good folks. They're not mentally ill on the surface. They don't drug and all that. I don't see them fight much. A good, wholesome family. And mom says, ooh, baby, mama has to work. And I said, well, why do you work so much? And she says, why do you think parents work so much? Bubs, what would you say? Why would mom have to work? Any parent, why would they have to work?
They gotta provide, gotta put food on the table, pay the
I'm glad you said that.
bills.
Yep.
I gotta take care of you. Yep.
Yep. Because then this 5-year-old says the damnedest thing. Mom, I'd rather not eat. I'd rather starve so you don't have to work that extra hour to feed me. And when that mom drives off, she didn't know it, and I didn't know it at 5. But what got locked in my subconscious brain was neglect, abandonment, and here are the 2 killers. Betrayal, because this is my
Oh
mother
wow.
and my father. This is betrayal for whatever it means to me at 5 years old. Like, oh, I thought, same way if you drop me off at daycare or when you drop a kid off at daycare and they scream and scream and scream, that's a form of betrayal that's getting locked in the brain because my caretaker is leaving me, abandoning me. And then here's the last one. I must not be good enough because I just told you I'd rather starve to death. And whatever I know about death at 5 years old, but I'd rather starve to death if you just give me 1 hour. And when she left, that told me my life was not worth anything.
Wow.
And that stays in my subconscious mind, not knowingly. But I grow in this pillar. So imagine those were seeds that were planted. Seeds. If you plant an apple seed, you will get an apple tree. So my roots are rooted in abandonment, neglect, betrayal, and am I good enough, also known as inadequacies. So now let's put this together. God damn, how many certificates do you have? Oh, enough so that I don't feel inadequate. Damn, poly lifestyle? How many of you? Oh, just enough so I feel complete. Been to all these different, just enough so I feel. Why are you dedicated? Because I don't want anyone to feel betrayed. I don't want anyone to feel neglected, abandoned, or that they're not good enough. And where did you get that from? Well, because there was a time when I was humming and singing a song and I felt it come across my heart and my mind. Bullshit. It's because I'm rooted in pain, rooted in betrayal. And goddamn, you want to talk about the story of your life. How was it that this 5-year-old story, and we'll put it back on me, 7 different foster homes. That's 7 different forms of betrayal, 7 different opportunities for more betrayal.
Wow.
7 more opportunities. Now I'm gonna give you another one that just happened to me recently. In your email, I sent you a picture.
Oh, let me see.
Now, I have 2 younger sisters. So when I was born, my mom had me when she was 13. And my father is my step-grandfather. I'll let you do the math. My father, step-grandfather, mom, 13. Back then, grandparents were grandparents. Back then, see, you could be 25 and be a grandparent now. Back then, a grandparent was a grandparent.
Right, right.
So I'm talking about some old dusty dude with my 12-year-old mother. I was born at 13. I mean, her 13. That being said, grandma pulled a Precious and said, oh, so since you took my man, I'm going to take yours.
Oh, shit.
And took me and put me in the foster home for the first 5 years of my life until my mom turned 18. Because back then, 13 was 13. My mom, she couldn't just run down to no school and no agency, and they just said, oh, overturned it. So boom, first years of my life, foster care. Abandonment, neglect, betrayal by the people who are supposed to love me and care for me. Then foster home, betrayal. Anyway, my mom comes and gets me at 18, kept her word. Boom, she meets some dude. Sister number 1 is born. I'm 6 years older than her. Sister number 2 is born. I'm 7 years older than her. To cope, my mom smoked weed laced with cocaine. My mom also sold weed and drank alcohol. When you grow up in an alcoholic home, that's another whole layer of things right there.
Yeah.
I watched my stepdad fight for me. I'm talking about the kind where my mom is swinging and all of a sudden he catches her hand and they rumble. I witnessed violence. That's another whole layer. I witnessed one wanting to hurt me and one wanting to protect me. Holy shit. That's another whole layer right there. You will talk about confusion. Maybe I am worth it. Maybe I'm not. Then I'm taking care of my sisters, and all I know is when the red light bulb is on, you need to be in the room quiet. I better not hear a mouse peep. You need to be quiet. And we're looking under the floor, and we see companies in the house, some dude, the red light, and my mom. Next thing you know, there's a big fight that ensued because she done went through their wallet. Another whole layer. Now I'm adding all this to say, I want you to hear not only what are my roots, but the soil that I'm planted in, or plotted in, or rooted in. And so the last thing I want in the world is for a repeat. And then the word disappointment. I think they call it in my Achilles heel. I think that's the term, because disappointment. So the time I caught, now for YouTubers and all that, or people listening in, let me give a trigger alert. I don't really believe in those because, again, beginning of the show, we told you you're going to be talking something real, but you might not be expecting this. So some trauma. I witnessed my mother drowning my sisters.
Oh, wow.
You hear that long cry? There's a super long pause. I went into the bathroom. My mom was just totally at peace. My sister's under the water. My mom said, what happens at home stays at home. And I figured we'll die together. Cool. We'll die, but we'll die together. I know I'm not going to watch her do that. I broke it up. She came and beat me. And that was the best beating of my life. It was about 2 hours long. But see, I knew she'd normally pass out. She'd get high, beat me until she passed out. But I was proud because while she was beating me, there was one spot she didn't hit me. Most people want to think down below. But it was my ears. It was my ears. And as long as I could hear my sisters crying, I knew they were not drowning.
Wow.
As long as I could hear my sisters crying, I knew that they were not drowning. So I knew nothing about Muhammad Ali. I mean, they had the boxing matches, but I didn't know of him in the rope-a-dope style. But I knew one thing: keep engaging until she passes out. Now, how that relates to all of this, I became a huge advocate for women. Huge advocate. Because when I took my mom passed out, I went and grabbed my sisters, took them out of the tub. I'm lumped and bumped, bloody. Took them to the neighbor's house. What the? Just put. My sisters are crying, and I'm on one knee telling them, "I'll be right back. I'm going to go get help. I'll be right back. I'll be right back." But when I went to my best friend's house, they looked at me like, "Oh my God, oh, we're calling the police." No, no, I ran from there. So now I'm homeless in Bronx, New York, for about a week and a half. Just hopping place to place to place. Finally, some drunk finds me. Coincidentally drunk. I'm a licensed alcohol and drug counselor. Finds me. They take me to the police department. Back then, there was no Amber Alert. There was no, I didn't tell them my name, nothing for about a good month. But what did I tell my sisters I'm going to do? Get help. And now I've been gone for over a month.
Wow.
And I finally told the police, she's eating some crackers. There's crackers on one side, cheese on the other with a red stick. And she got down to that last cracker, and I was a skinny kid. Don't let them pictures fool you. I was a skinny kid. But she got down that last cracker. So, all right. God damn it. I just blurred and told everything. Still didn't know if my sisters were rescued until about a year later.
Wow.
Because I didn't go home. They put me in foster homes. And then my social worker at that time scheduled their medical appointment and my medical appointment at the same time, so we saw each other. All right. So now let's put all that together. What do you think the last thing in the world I want to do? Disappoint.
Yeah.
Disappoint. So yes, I want to provide. I want to give information. Why in the world was my mom doing that to me? I just don't know. I don't know. And when she told my stepdad, yeah, he did this and that to your daughter, you better get in there and beat him. And when he pulled me in the room and closed the door and told me to get undressed, tears hit me, and then they just stopped. The tears started, and then they just stopped, because at first I thought, what? Now you are going to?
Wow.
And then they just stopped, because I was so used to the people who were supposed to love me and care for me portraying me that I thought, well, all right, dude, do what you got to do. He's spinning me around. What's this mark right here? Oh, it's my mom where she stabbed me. What's this one here? Oh, that's where she... And that's where he pointed out all these marks and bruises on me. And then he said in a whispery voice, I'm going to take the belt and beat the bed. And when I beat the bed, you yell out. Huh? When I hit the bed, you scream. Are you serious? And there we went. The man didn't touch me, but he pretended. Now, where do you think that information goes? Where do you think an experience like that goes? It's been locked in my brain. And if I ever hear of a kid being abused, ever hear and that I can do something about it, come on now. But what happens is we end up wanting to save the world. We end up wanting to make sure we don't disappoint. And even when I got adopted at 13 years old and I didn't have a choice, and my sisters were in a totally different foster home because of me. Because when my mom had visiting rights, she would say, where do you live? Oh, 779 Riverside, 145th and West Broward. And I'll just tell. And next thing you know, before the day is over, knock, 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 knock. There's my mom beating up the foster care people and taking us away. What? And they couldn't figure out for the life of her, how your mom keep finding out? Oh, because my dumb ass. So they split us up. My fault. Remember what mom said, what happens at home stays at home. So then you develop what's called loyalty issues, loyalty concerns. You develop loyalties to a fault. You stay in relationships longer than you need to stay in. Trying to be with everyone. Be nice to people, nice to people, nice to people. The reason I want you to put up this picture, this panel that I was on with these sisters, street worker, social worker, a couple other people, it was in Chicago. Oh, it doesn't have the date on there. Oh yeah, 2018. 2018. That picture that's up. And they invited me to that panel. Again, as the relationship was a strategist back then. I still am, but a relationship, whatever, strategist coach, Because when you use the word expert, people want to check. How is making you so claimed? You're right. It is. It is so claimed. In fact, I didn't even pick the word, but someone told me you've been doing this shit for 20 years and you got all degrees, and degrees. That's called an expert. So I'm like, okay, if it pays, I'll take it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so 2018, I'm on this panel talking about relationships, and now the reason that's so important is because a conversation like this with women, I'm told I don't qualify just because I'm a man. In fact, two sisters, I've been talking about this lately, two sisters that I work with, they were new in their position. And I said, oh, sister, you want to pick that up in the jail. I would pick it up myself. I'm not above picking it up, but the eye in the sky is going to look like I rescued you from your contraband on the ground. You'll get in trouble more than I would. I said that to her, and the other dude was putting forks and stuff on the trays. Oh my gosh, thank you, Doc. No worries. I see another sister, she was brand new to the job on the unit, in the jail unit, on her cell phone. I see her from a distance. When I see her in the cafeteria, I walk up and I'm a jokester. I walk up, wow, I'm jealous. What? I'm jealous. How is it that you spent 2 days with me in a row in the training, 2 8-hour days training, and not once did you pull your phone out, flash your pictures and stuff, and then I'm in my whispery voice, but you on the damn unit with your phone out? Come on, sister. You gotta be smarter than that. Ain't nobody gonna hear protected. Did the officer training you say anything? No. But some of the guys, some of the inmates, you out there with your and the eye in the sky. Do you want the career? Oh man, I wasn't even thinking. I know you gotta be smarter than that. Thank you. Yeah. Next thing I know, I'm in the HR office. They felt harassed and they couldn't understand why I cared so much.
Oh wow.
Excuse me? And before they told me, they just said you have to go home. I spent a year home.
Wow.
A year home not knowing what I did wrong.
Yeah.
At a job that I working at for 5 years, one of the most respected, the only black male doctors there, the only to the point when they have a crisis and they call the department mental health and they hear me talk, oh, is that Dr. Nakambi? Yeah, hold on. Hey, what's up? Oh, I don't mean to be mean to your coworker, but will you come up? Whoa, come on. But you deal with crisis the best. No, come on. So I'm highly favored at this job, but yet two sisters who I consider myself helping, who I consider myself anyone, and I'm landing here soon. We want to start to descend.
Oh, we good.
So my whole thing is I've dated women where they asked me, are you gay? Whoa, what?
Wow.
I mean, we've been together 6 months and I ain't never even seen you ding-a-ling. What's going on? Ooh. Now I love me some sex.
Okay.
I love heterosexual sex, and I have some receipts.
Oh Lord.
No, I mean I have some living receipts. All right. So my point is, I've been in relationships where I've been so treating them like my sisters. Because the only real difference between your best friend and your girlfriend is sex. You tell your best friend's secrets, you tell your woman's secret, blah, blah, blah. But I've been in relationships, romantic relationships, where they were like, you treat me, people say, oh, you're more like a friend. So tying all this together, and this it'll land with you when I say this. If you look at my path, when I say I want to give back to the community, when I say I want others to learn and not have to guess, when I want others to figure out why this is happening to them, when I want others to know it is not their fault, what is the root reason? The root reason is a very selfish, me feel good, me feel complete, me feel like I'm doing something, me feeling a sense of purpose, me getting, so it's really all about me. I may not think it when I'm doing it. When I'm in the Philippines and I'm feeding the poor kids, and when I say poor, I mean poor kids. Okay, when I'm feeding them and feeling like, wow, I made a difference. But I can feel, once I realized it, I can actually feel when I took the kids to see uh, Thor, the movie, and I asked, "Can I have the theater to my?" You know, how you can rent a movie theater.
Yeah.
I rented the theater, and I had like 10 total strangers, total. I ain't know these kids from anything, but they all trusted me with their kids. They knew I couldn't leave the country, right? My black ass at the airport with 10 kids. So,
Okay. Like, what's
so
going on
we're at the
here?
theater, and these kids are looking up at the screen like they had just like they had just seen God come out of the sky. I mean, they had never seen anything like this
Right.
before. I'm over in the corner crying because I just felt so. Ugh.
Yeah.
The first time in New York, I ain't never been in no damn Macy's store, Macy's mall and stuff. Coming from the Bronx and the hood, and my godfather talking about, come on, in the escalator. Well, I'm 8 years old, scared to go down the escalator. And I'll never forget in the Philippines taking them to the mall, and the kids they from the village. They know how to climb a tree. Listen, they can climb a tree, but they were scared to go down the escalator. And then I could just feel my devil horns. You can do it. You can.
You trying to
But
feed me to
and
the
I was proud.
machine?
Huh?
So you trying to feed me to the machine?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt proud. Like, wow, this kid is gonna have an experience. They don't have to remember my name. I didn't go there talking about, hi, I'm Doc. They don't even know my name.
Right.
I'm buying them school supplies and all that. They don't know my name. Now, how that relates and how this picture relates and all that story I just told you. Imagine now in 2023 when two black women say, oh, we felt a little concerned. The fuck? I'm trying to help you keep your damn job and you felt concerned? I mean, I ain't never heard no shit like that.
Right.
And then also now they have a panel tell me, yeah, I'm misogynistic. Huh? And have someone tell me, well, you're part of the patriarchal system. What? Okay. What? What the?
Right.
To have someone tell me 4 days, what's Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, about 4 days ago, tell me on the panel. I'm like, you know how many times I've been on your panel and paid uh, super chats? How many times I've sent uh, what's the thing you send through the PayPal through the thing, pay Cash App? You know how many times I pay and not a single soul? That's not true. A couple people have invested, but compared to what I send out, and then I had to catch myself because no one asked for any of that.
Yeah.
So then I can't project. Who am I to project that when no one asked for it? That's my doing. So I land with this, and here's when I say yes and no, sir. We do what we do out of a sense of purpose. I do matter. And one of the ways I can show up in the world is by giving back. But if you really dig deep and think about it all, I say it comes from a selfish place. So even though you may not see it that way, when we approach others, they wonder what our angle is.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
wonder what our angle is.
What
So
our
if you
agenda
come over
is.
to another panel, no matter how much you're saying I'm giving, I want a space for us to come together
Yeah.
where your black ass ain't realized that none of this hasn't happened in the last 200 years, last 100 years, last 50 years. What in the world makes you think you gonna make it happen? No, I don't think that way. Now, come on, let's get it together. Let's get it together. So I just wanted to add that long piece to say, I got you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. But the reason we're not received, when I say we, the people who are out there standing for those,
Yeah.
people who are out there who are bold at work, I tell it like it is.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn. Yeah, that's correct. Because they grew with this belief that they're not shit. So what else can happen to them? Nothing. They are ready. But once we get totally comfortable, when we get the relationships that we want, we feel totally at peace. Totally at peace.
Yeah.
So I do apologize for that long-winded piece to your listeners, but I want to give a huge perspective, a huge chunk of story to give you an additional perspective that yes, what we're doing is honest and is out of love, and we do want the communities to come together. But at the end of the day, how much are you putting yourself out there to get slayed? And then what's going to be the return? And if you didn't have the background that you had, would you be doing this? I'll land there.
Correct. Dr. Nakumbe, I'm the one that be doing the 7-8 hour lives. You ain't talking about long winded. I'm the one that be talking, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there needs to be some sort of revolutionary way of changing how we have these conversations. Because, like you said, there's this like I'm trying to figure out the word, the actual scholastic term. But anyway, there's this conflating
Hmm.
of damn, I just had it, Lord. Oh damn, there's nothing on BubzDaGawd. I have my thoughts and I lose them
Take your
sometimes, but
time.
they
Take your
come
time.
back. Yes,
You can take
but
that picture down when you get a chance too.
oh yeah, let me
Take your
put the
time.
other picture up. But that's what I was saying. Yes, we need to revitalize or revolutionize the way we have conversations, because there's this conflating thing between conversation and debate. You said that. It's kind of like, and that's why when I would try to bring up, because no shade, I do the work on my YouTube channel to be like, I want y'all to see what I'm talking about. I bring
Hmm.
the receipts or whatever, that when we speak about these situations and these issues, and we see we've been doing this for decades, especially when it comes down to queerness, it's the same talking points. What are we going to do that's different? Because if we keep looking at it as a debate and a line of division, we don't get to the bigger conversations where we can talk about the things that's affecting all of us, like how we all grew up. And a lot of us are rooted in pain and don't know how to deal with that and don't know how to heal with that. And then because we're unconscious, we end up bringing other children into this world, and now they learn those behaviors to go forth. And then we see all this stuff happening. And how in the black community, a lot of times, you're right, we do sweep stuff under the rug. Like, how is it that the person who's SA and the children can come get some Thanksgiving food, can come to
Hmm.
Christmas, can come to birthdays? They can't be around the kids though. Don't let Uncle So around the kids though. But he can get a plate. But when somebody comes to Thanksgiving dinner with a friend they've been living with for 5 years, there's now the boyfriend, there's a problem, there's an
Hmm.
issue. When it's
And
somebody who's
why?
trans, and why?
Yeah.
And
Why?
then
In
and
fact,
then go ahead.
so I
No,
just want to throw in
go
there
ahead.
quick. How does the person know? How does, let's say you show up at dinner.
Mhm.
I mean, if the person, appears and looks and acts, okay, cool.
Mhm.
But how would a person know? Where did they get their gay radar from? Where did they get that from? Why would we go somewhere and all of a sudden people have all this hostility
Mhm.
and tell us what we won't do, and you ain't gonna bring your ass over? Where did all that come from?
Mhm.
Hmm.
You asking me?
As hypothetical, I mean, just a
Oh,
rhetorical
okay.
question. Rhetorical
Oh,
question. I'm
okay.
just
I
I'm
got
just
you. I got
wondering,
you.
like,
Cause I know where it
where.
come from, but yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just rhetorical
Right.
because I dislike the activities of offenders.
Mhm.
I also work with offenders
Mhm.
and would back them up 100%. So, of course,
Mhm.
that current day that's called simp and bitch ass and whatever you want to call it. But then when I highlight to everybody, well, you're probably an offender too. And of course, I get pushback. And then when I spot it and tell it to them, they're like, oh. So, again, people don't always present their truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes not knowing, I say, I don't have any stats on that. I'll just say 50-50.
Mhm.
Sometimes not knowing, but also knowing and not giving a bleep bleep.
Yeah.
And so who makes it more, who's more right then? You or the person who didn't give a damn? So if
Mm.
you intentionally didn't give a damn, I don't give a bleep 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 bleep, and you're just gonna do what you want to do. So you realize you are engaging and hurtful. You realize you're engaging. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about when they talk about, oh, if I say something against trans people, I'm hurting them. If I say this word, I'm hurting them. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if I purposely say, I don't give a fuck about you, I don't give a damn about you, keep your crazy ass away.
Mhm.
So that's intentional. But then
Mhm.
when I ask, why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
I always say, then people can't really tell me that they don't have experiences, or else they wouldn't have the type of energy that they have. And I got one
Mhm.
other big piece of news.
Mhm.
Look at the panels that people are on.
Mhm.
Why do they go to those particular panels? Now,
Mm.
do you eat ants and insects and all that?
Mm.
No. So
Unless
I
you in
won't
the new
catch you
world or
like
some
in
shit.
yeah, I won't catch you like in Thailand, like purposely going down the
Oh
black
no
market
no no
meal
no
thing
no
to
no
eat
no no no
bugs and
no
stuff,
no no.
snakes or rats.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay, so there are people out there who eat that,
Correct. God
but
bless
you
them.
won't catch people in those markets if they have not had some type of experience, suggestion, flavor, something. Just now you said no, 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 no.
Right.
So I say, I wonder the YouTube spaces that people travel in, why are they there? I know one of the things I offer on the Black Man Unfiltered Network, even though I talk a lot of the mental health stuff,
Yeah.
what I offer is relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coach K and I talk about
Shout out to Coach K.
mental health and breaking the cycles.
Mm-hmm.
Now, regardless of people's beliefs of the network over there, but if you look at the different channels,
Mm-hmm.
no matter how hot the conversation can get, by the end of it, people are walking away saying they feel relieved. You go to the barber shop, get to speak how you want to speak. People leave relieved.
Yes.
If you think about your show, when you say, and I'm not quoting you, but when you say, light up, relax, get your shit, get comfortable,
Yes.
right? People leave relieved.
Yeah.
So uniquely, I say if you look at the spaces people go into, there's a reason they go there.
Correct.
And if that's not your space, you wouldn't be there. So the people who go to Black Man Unfiltered Network and the people who go to your network, they have a common denominator.
True.
At the end of the show, at the end of the conversation, there's a sense of relief. There's a sense of belonging. There's a sense of connected. And there's a sense of you understand me, you get it. Okay? So we share a common denominator. This is where I challenge you and say, well, Bubs,
Yes.
when we are in position like that, because again, I'm still guilty, I still fall into that trap. When you're in spaces like that, I might not share the same bedroom experiences as you do.
Right.
But the common denominator is you have sex, I have sex. You've been impacted by the laws and the behaviors of people. I've been impacted by the laws.
Correct.
And if you throw in a conversation about some gangster talking about he gonna bleep everybody and bleep everyone, stop. Why have that conversation? Everybody and their mamas had that conversation. Country singers have had that conversation. Now, did they say something? I'm gonna bleep you and ape you and all that stuff? Who knows? I don't know. I'm not into all that, so I don't know. But what's the reality? The reality is, if that person said that about doing this to the gay population and and the heterosexual person said about blah, 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 that's our common denominator. And that's the conversation I want to have. Are we okay with that? That's the question. Are we okay with that? Because at some point, the intersection of being Black, the intersection of being a man, they're going to cross our paths. What are we going to do about that? And if you only see me as someone gay or weird or queer, whatever word you want to use, if you only see me as less than, well, then I suggest that anyone who sees you as less than understand you might be the exact same people that I have to turn to in a time of need. You might be the exact same people that I have to turn to say, hey, our numbers equal X, Y, and Z, but together our numbers equal X, Y, and Z. And I might have to, at some point, realize you are not the enemy the way I think you are the enemy.
Correct.
911. The Twin Towers went down. My New York Towers went down. I was in Minnesota. Went to a movie. I saw the movie, I think it was United 93. And I was hot, ready to see the first Muslim, I believe, person looked Muslim, looked from the middle. I was ready. Only to find out, if you get into the conspiracy theory, that's another whole conversation. I'd have been a fool. I'd have probably had my tail handed to me messing with the wrong one, but I'd have been a fool taking this out on some people who I believed I was pumped up to hurt.
Right.
And they weren't even the ones to hurt.
Correct.
And this is why I say, how many queer people are actually down there paying the sport places to say, hey, let the trans people fight with the women? How many people are actually, in fact, it's my manager, it's my coach, not me, but the ones who are fighting, saying, I was told an hour before the match that it's going to be against a man. Wait, you mean you didn't organize that? Hell no. Oh, someone above authorized it. You mean the person, the queer kid at the school, was the one that went in Chicago and said changed all the bathroom stalls to make them unisex? What kid? They could barely come on. So at the end of the day, you and I might not share the same experiences in the bedroom, but you and I, as black men,
Yeah. Yeah.
will share the same experience
Yes.
because the second someone looks at us, they don't have to guess if
Correct.
we are
Correct.
black. Now, some of them
Correct.
light-skinned Negroes, that might be different for them, but for us,
Right.
you can see. You don't have to worry about if I act black. You can see that I am black. So the consequences come to us immediately. Immediately. Who we're doing in the bedroom and all that stuff comes second, third, last.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that we are black and the fact that we are men,
Yeah.
they see that first. I yield.
That was great. I mean, that's why I appreciate this conversation, because some of the talking, or really a lot of the talking points that you share are a lot of the talking points that I want to try to accomplish within blackness, again with black men. Like, I know when I was on the panel, I said something along the lines of a lot of black men gonna have to learn how to mentally and emotionally grow up, and I know that kind of probably triggered a lot of them, as if though I was talking about them. You know what I mean? But again,
Mhm,
because of society, we've been groomed to believe that anything that is anything that is energy based, and that's not physical based, energy based being more so emotion, energy, emotion, with it being
mhm,
on the emotional spectrum, is to be demonized. But if you were to tap into that, again, without making it queer, because you know who you are, you open yourself up to what I believe to be a more balanced life. Because now it's like it's like how RuPaul, of course, the drag queen, said this: if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? How are you gonna be able,
mhm,
or better yet, for some of the old heads, what's that song? Can't hide love by Earth, Wind and Fire. You turn
mhm,
down love like it's really bad. You can't give what you never had. So it's like, until you learn how to give that love and that grace to yourself, you'll never be able to show up as effectively as you can. And that pain and that torturing energy can possibly be transmuted into your remedy, because you sharing your story, you could have allowed all that to consume you, to where you can end up like a lot of people who are hurting other
mhm,
people. But you made that choice, and even though you had your moments of doubt, we all do, God still showed up in ways through other people to remind you, no, keep the course, keep the course. And now you're actually out here doing it, and again, you're out here raising awareness and changing lives. And again, I want that for the black community, because if we look at things objectively outside of ourselves, we're getting fucked up. I remember
mhm,
why I had watched this video on Instagram, where they say that in American history there's like this 80-year block that we always do, and they're broken up in 4 sections. And we're literally in the last era of it, which is the age of destruction. That's why all of
mhm,
these falsified things are falling apart. That's why I feel like we're literally in a renaissance type of era, not just because of Beyonce, shout out to her, but like the 60s and 70s, black liberation, women's liberation, queer liberation, anti-war, more about humanity, more about our feelings. Like, we're in that area. And it's like, we have to get ourselves together, because if history is deemed to repeat itself, what happened in the 80s to the oppressed groups of people? The crack epidemic came through like a scythe and fucked the black community up. AIDS came out of nowhere and fucked the queer community up. Women were forced back into the house and forced back into the box. And my thing is, are we going to be able to survive it if that was to happen again this time around? Because for me, I feel like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I'm looking and I'm seeing blackness, and it seemed like blackness is destroying itself. And I don't think I've seen that historically in America. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but it's like blackness is defeating itself, which is why when we try to have these conversations, like you were talking about getting the relief off, I think a lot of us unconsciously get off on it's like a battle zone in a sense. I get to put my shit, I get to project my shit onto you and then find a way to do it and find and I guess we're all guilty of that.
Hmm.
But it's like once we have that type of awareness now, what do we do that's different? And I feel like we're doing that now. We're able to address our triggers. We're able to give context and nuance about our life experience, which helps to validate some of our points. And I didn't sit up here, I didn't read you, I didn't roast you. We was able to share our jokes. I feel like that's possible. But again, we got to attract people who have the same wherewithal to do that, to be able to help teach other people and show them that it is indeed possible. That's why when I was on that platform, I tried my best to be innovative and say, hey, here's a show idea. How about this? How about you have these people up here? And then for the entertaining aspect, afterwards, other people can come up. And if it got to be Laugh-A-Palooza, Comic View, that's cool. We can do that too. But it was like with that platform, and not even his, there are other platforms that have a lot of awareness where I feel like people can really have those conversations, and it just hurts my heart because I feel like a lot of times the ball is dropped. And that could be the ball dropped on all of our parts. Because again, we can always improve and grow, but it's like, what does that look like? Like going forward, what would you like to see on these panels as far as like with black men who are heterosexual and queer? What would you like to see happen?
Hmm. Well, good question. And one of the things I have to consider before I even think about what I want to see is where I want to see it.
Right,
So
right. Okay.
if if I go if I were outside of the Black Man Unfiltered Network, going into one, we should know where we're going into.
Right.
So I said the lion's den, but meaning the lion's den as in anything outside of a lion, anything outside of
Yeah, yeah,
that doesn't look like if you look like a zebra, you're gonna get your ass eaten. So
yeah. Right.
you go into lion's den, but I mean, what is the network about? So because even with Coach K and I talking about that mental health stuff, but we still, I mean, I'm a comedian and she has her little witty ways, right? But I think I want to say every show on that network, maybe not the sports, but every show brings an entertaining value, a realness value,
Right.
some conflict, and again, then unity. So then where does this topic fit in? Because we could be well intentioned, we can have big hearts, but at the end of the day, if remember, go back to my gang analogy or my projects. I go into the projects, and I don't mean the network is the project. What I mean is I go into a community, I go into a network, and no matter how well intentioned I am, if I mention I'm here for the smoke, if I mention any of these things, even if I walk away with a smile, there's at least one person wondering. And I'm not talking about the last 5 years of unity. I'm thinking of the last 200, 300 years, but not the part you just mentioned of, well, some of those fights and wars and battles and advocacy actually benefited heterosexual people. At the beginning of the show, I was talking about the Harlem Renaissance. We didn't talk about how in New York, Langston Hughes, when you talk about Martin Luther King, it'll be easy for me to just rattle off some stuff about how ain't no gay people over here, my parents and my grandparents. It'd be easy for me to say that, but do I know the experience of every single member of my family? And did I even realize that some of these huge names in our culture, in our community, that have sacrificed, some of them couldn't even be themselves or whatever. They had to hide their identity.
Yep. Yep.
That paved the way for us, paved the way. So when we dismiss something in 2023, because whenever I hear people talk about traditionalism and our parents were the worst and the worst and the worst, I feel that's disrespectful to our parents who did the best that they thought they could do, and disrespectful to our generations and generations of people, our ancestors. When we're quick to talk about how they were stupid and dumb and didn't do anything right, I think that's insulting to our ancestors.
It is Very much
And
so.
our future generations, they're going to talk about how dumb we were.
Mm.
So when you go into, again, these spaces, considering where I'm going, so when you ask, what do I want? Well, the reality is what I want, how realistic is it? And then I have to take a portion of that. I have to take a portion. It hasn't happened all this time. Why is it going to happen now? And when I think about there's the key word, I want, do the masses want?
Right.
Because there's no way in the world where I can't figure out, and this is going backwards a little bit, how two sisters thought I was causing them harm. Out of all the work I do across the board, from anyone across the board, the spectrum, for someone to say, oh, you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that, what? I get offended, I get bothered by it, and then I have to remember that's right. I want peace. I want for everyone to get along. I want for us to understand that when we're in danger, it doesn't matter if I'm in danger on the side of the road, my car broke down, and you pulled up in a Ford, and I like Chevys, I don't give a damn about your Ford. Help me.
Okay. From the gate.
All right. Now, once I'm safe, I can say that piece of shit Chevy you got.
After I did this, nickel.
Yeah, right after the fact. But in the moment, I mean, if I don't need any like your car parts, but you can, whatever it is, you helped me. I don't give a damn. I'm first responder certified. So not the big like getting out into all that, but I'm first. I can just a little bit more than CPR and a little less than surgery. So first responder certified, and I get down there and ask some people. Let me stop. I have not had to rescue anyone in that manner. So let me not tell that. If I had to get down there, I'm going to ask because it is the law or legal, whatever. But I'm also protected by the law for trying to help. But you know what people do? They sue you. You broke a rib, and they sue you. So I want to get down first, ask, hey, do you want me? But if the person's unconscious, because you don't start CPR until the person's unconscious, no heartbeat, no breathing, so you can't even answer my question. And it's going to be 10 out of 10 people, unless the person who really hoped, unless they are do not resuscitate, 10 people who are going to say, thank you for saving my life. And if I say, yeah, but just so you know, I was rimming my girl about 1 hour before.
Oh my God.
No, I don't even be crazy,
Come
but
on,
my point
honesty.
is, yeah. Now, of course, they're like, God damn it, you. But that's like me talking crazy about the Chevy
Tell your
after
girl I
you
said
already
thank
helped me.
you.
Yes. So it don't give it, man, that's messed up what you did. That's messed up what you did. But you saved me. So what I want is that we can be in position to have opposition. We can be in position to disagree or agree to disagree.
Yeah.
And we can also be in position to recognize in the moment when we need each other that without a doubt, I know you have my back and you know that I have yours. That's what I want. And so on these panels, pending who's running the panel. So it's not about what I want on their panel.
Correct.
So pending their panel. When I come to your panel, I said I've heard, or your show, I listened to your show, I hear you drop nuggets. Conscious TV, a couple of times I've actually reached out to Conscious TV and said, holy shit, man, wow, what you offered the community today, that was, through my perspective, it was spot on. And I think, and you can, there's only a couple of times, but you can ask them. I said, thank you for teaching and doing what you do. I mean, I do that on any of the panels that I go to or any of the spaces that I go to where I feel people are teaching and offering.
Yeah.
I'm saying thank you, regardless if they're my people or not.
Correct.
Human-wise, we're all together. Blackness, we're all together. Men, we're all together. But then even the sisters, because like I said, I'm have my bleeding spot for the sisters, and then that just leads to end up being all people. So that's what I want. How we do that is a different story.
Yeah.
And just because I want it doesn't mean the masses want it. Because guess what? One more clinical gym. We're gonna go up on flight here, but it's a much shorter flight. It's from Minnesota to Chicago flight. If you are rooted in chaos, then you actually will continue to have a passion for chaos. If you ever hear someone say, why do you keep getting with the same type of knucklehead? When will you ever stop getting in those same type of chaotic relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Because the brain, when it received the bad, it was most likely hardwired with something good. When you beat me and then we have sex. So those relationships where they fight,
Mm-hmm.
F, fight, fight, fight. I don't
Mm-hmm.
like the fighting part, but
Yeah.
afterwards I like the being held. I like the fact that you pay attention to me. You actually look me in my eye. First time I can get to see you, not be so angry, whatever. So there's a push and pull intertwined. And so there are some people out in the universe where they actually enjoy the chaos.
Yeah.
There's some channels I can't go to because when I watch, I'm ready to jump through the screen. And I'm not a fighter. I'm not a
Right.
fighter. But I am one of the ones where if you watch the news long enough, you hear about, people who, well, we saw them last week. So I don't have to fight. But man, we sure haven't seen so-and-so in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the type where I say, well, listen, if I feel threatened by you, I either have to be prepared or I need to stay out of your space. So
Yeah.
there's some channels I can't even go to those channels because they're just entertaining, but it sounds real. And then when I give my little 2 cents, they're like, dude, get out of here. You're a simp, you're this, you're that. Um, and so I have to be mindful
Mm-hmm.
that, wait a second, that's their belief and who am I? Or that's their entertainment and who am I? Or that's their business, who am I? That's their. So what I want, I have to be in spaces where we both or all parties involved want it
Mm-hmm.
and we feel neutral together.
Right.
Neutral together.
Right. Right. So let me ask you this then. We've kind of already talked about the people that don't want to have the conversation. But for the people who do want to have a conversation and, like you say, try to bring some level of awareness, even in spaces where it offers the opportunity for them to do so or whatever, how, like, what can they do? Like some very simple, basic stuff they can do to possibly grow in their advocacy for other people's lives.
That's a good question. I say because each person is responsible for themselves. So
Right.
what I could do is mind my business and handle mine. And if you're worried about death or deleting or
Mm-hmm.
taking people out unfairly or treating people unfairly, I'll be more mindful.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm going to default to if if they're your people, quote unquote, then hopefully you are talking to your people because once they come over, once they cross over, once we cross each other's hairs, then it's not so much about uh, what I am going to do is what I won't let you do. And so
Mm-hmm.
therefore, if you're asking me what can we do differently, don't worry about what I can do differently. We usually project out and say, if they don't, then I won't. That's usually
Yeah.
the response. If
Yeah.
you don't, I won't.
Yeah.
Um, Rare, but some people say, well, I won't, and in return, I hope you won't. But see, that's a hope. Hope in one hand and shit in another. Which one feels more real?
Okay. Right.
So I'm willing to, I'll make a promise to, I'll commit to, but
Yeah.
then boom. Even you and I, we were going to have this conversation a few times with some people, and then for whatever reason, people don't follow through.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
There's some panels that they don't want me up because for certain conversations on different panels because I bring this one perspective. They don't want to hear that shit,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm too, I'm special in my own kind of way, right? There's always
Mm-hmm.
one special one in the crowd, and you just don't
Yeah.
want. So therefore, I end up pushing people away, not intentionally.
Yeah.
Um, and so many nuances that we have to consider. And so I think when it comes down to it, my suggestion would be each individual has to want it. Well, let's
Yeah.
go back in time from the time I'm talking about, not from the time where we benefited from people who identified as queer. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about going back to the time when someone said heterosexual is the way. If we go by the Bible and we say Adam and Eve,
Mm-hmm.
what's the joke? Adam and Eve, not
Not
Adam and
Adam and
Steve,
Steve. Mm-hmm.
right? But then I always joke and say there's a lot of people who came from Adam and Eve. How did they get all that going? And then I think about the what's the state? The people who wore the sheets, the Greek, the Romans, and
Mm-hmm.
how all that stuff they would do would bend the people over and the guy on guy and this and that, and a lot of That's a long history. This is not in the last 5 years, 10 years. I'm talking about since the sign of times.
Yeah.
There's been a same gender loving folks, and then the women. I mean, I'm talking about there's countries right now that actually the men are so unavailable. It is a known, like it's not a secret. It's not even a hide and secret. It is a known thing that the men are so unavailable that the women are like right off the bat considered. Go to some of these third world countries. Some of the women are considered bisexual right off
Oh
the bat.
wow.
Right off the bat. Go check out in Japan. Check out in Japan the stats on bisexual women. Just check it out.
Wow.
And so it's disingenuous when people say that's not in this country. That's not well. Okay, then why they have the laws? You don't create a law for something that's not there.
Mhm.
You do not create a law. You don't say hey, we're gonna cut your head off for something that's not there. You just wouldn't. There's no way in the world to say that's a death penalty for what? A death penalty for if you well it doesn't happen. So why do we even have that law?
Mm.
So my point being, people who are not worried about that. So when I think about the BMU network, if you're saying, well, how can we connect more together? Well, we connect just fine. There's no what connect with what? What's the problem? What problem do we have? So again, if you're talking about you want us to adopt, you want us to accept, you want us to understand. So do you feel threatened by what we're doing? Well, no, I just want to make sure. Are you alive still? Yeah. So then what do you? So then I say, we have to pivot the conversation.
Mhm.
Well, when you look at the news, or when you talk about this cousin of mine, when we talk about this friend of mine, when we talk about people I actually know,
Mhm.
when we talk about those people who have engaged in violence,
Yeah.
all because they looked a certain way,
Mhm.
can we have that conversation? I'm not trying to get you, like you said earlier, I'm not trying to get you to adopt, I'm not trying to get
Right.
you to accept. What I'm saying is, are you willing to have the conversation? Because just so you know, while we're talking about this, I'm loading up my magazines. I just want you to
Mm.
understand while we're talking about this, I'm not telling people to turn the other cheek. Just so you know, and no pun intended, I'm talking, Martin Luther King cheek. And just so you know, if you are not willing, that actually encourages me to feel like you wanted this to happen.
Mm.
If you are not willing to meet me halfway, and you're saying that's not our responsibility, then it sounds like you don't care enough. And so please don't come back later asking, why are you, why are you, why are you? And then now here's the challenge to that. If you look at the percentages, the percentages say there are more heterosexual people than the LGBT community. In fact, the argument is that now kids are targeted to even get them at a younger stage. So it's like, oh, so it's lower numbers. The way to increase the numbers, get more people involved. And so, well, what does that mean? Are you just going to sprinkle some? Like, how do you get more people involved? What does that mean? Like, you're going to sprinkle some gay dust? I'm like, how does that work? Well, no, 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 no. But hopefully, the power of influence. But this is not a lifestyle for everyone. Everyone is not just watch a TV or watch a video or TikTok and all of a sudden they change. There's a whole set of biology. Now, I love research. So
Yeah.
I'm more than
Same here.
open for the listeners out there who disagree. Let's do the research. And what I mean by research, like right now, I'm researching this group from 2020. I'm
Mhm.
following them, a group of fathers. I did a father's show on Facebook,
Mhm.
and I'm tracking 17 fathers that were complaining about we don't get to be in our families' lives. And already 8 of the 17 are gone out of those homes. I'm following them for five
Oh
years.
wow.
5 years. My other research project was 5 years. I usually do five, and one was 7. Now, the ones for the journals, those even have boards. Like people have to approve
Yeah.
what I'm working on. They have to review what I'm working. I have to have a
Yeah.
panel of an advisor. I have to have so all of these things for the research to even count. The stuff I'm talking about now is more of just my own gathering information, talking to people. Someone throws in my face, "Oh, well, are you even considering what's the word? Social. construct. Well, yeah, I am considering the social construct because I'm talking to people about their experiences, and it doesn't have to be written in biology. It doesn't have to be come out of. It's their lived
Exactly.
experiences,
Exactly.
and I can't take that away from. Just like I sat up here for a whole couple of hours telling you my story and the thing. That's my experience.
Yours.
No one can take that away, and
Correct.
it's not rooted in any type of boom, 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 boom. So the research that I do, I have the conversations the way you and I are talking about it, but I have conversations like, do you mind telling me what happened? What age? Why do you think? What were you feeling? What could you have done differently? And then 2 years later, I asked them the same question. Well, to be honest, I know back then that's, well, that's what or
Mm.
I still think the same. I still feel the so and so and so and so. So in the end, or land this plane, when I think about what people can do or what do I suggest that they do so we can have these conversations.
Yeah.
One, what is the purpose? We have to define the purpose. If I find there's no purpose that's going to benefit me, there's no need in having the conversation.
Mm.
Two, if I have the conversation, are you open and ready for me to say anything and everything about my understanding? I don't have to
Right.
be queer to ask these questions. Do I have to be queer to
Right.
ask these questions? And do you have to be heterosexual to ask these questions? Absolutely not. But we need to know going into it. The
Yeah.
same way I said, hey, trigger alert in advance. We
Mm-hmm.
went into the conversation saying, I might say some things that don't align
Right.
with most of your listeners. But bear with me because we're trying together
Exactly.
to get to a same landing space.
Yes.
So together, people have to be ready for the authentic, raw conversation and not be above correction.
That part.
Not be above correction because I can say all I want, but this is for the betterment of, yeah, but the way you're saying it. Damn, you sure have some twang in your voice when you. Oh, my bad. Because there's a certain part of me that may not even realize I'm talking out of sarcasm. I'm
Yeah.
talking
Very
out. It's
sarcastic.
coming from a
Yeah.
yeah. It's coming from a disrespectful tone. Like I started before we even talked about it. I already started with my perception.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm speaking from that angle, not even realizing that it's coming off a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's, in your audience here, I don't know how many people are viewing, but I know they've been respectful and stuff. And so here's the
Yes.
deal. What's the definition of respect?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I watched the Black Man Unfiltered Network, I said, well, that was a form of respect. If you think about what I said earlier, if they're a wolf pack, so that's the clinical term for it, by the way, for group therapy, anything that's called a group, they develop
Okay.
what's called a wolf pack. So that's a
Okay.
clinical term, not a derogatory term. A
Okay.
wolf pack for groups that come together.
Okay.
So if they formed a group pack, what was disrespectful about what they were saying? In other words, a bunch of people lining up at the fence with the weapons, with whatever, saying, you won't get in. We'll meet you at the fence. What's up? Hey, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yay, you can come with a smile. But the moment you say, I came for the smoke,
Mm.
I'm telling the people on the radio, get ready down to station 4. No, come on, y'all don't get so sensitive. Don't be so sensitive. I'm just joking. And I let you in. But remember what I said about the third and fourth person. They're watching to see what the first and second person do. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
do they even hear you? They don't even care about your intentions. Probably not. They're worried about protecting the fort. And
Right.
then, if you add the cultural piece, the religious piece,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
all of these pieces need to be discussed, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I
What
agree.
makes better for a better space? What makes for a better conversation? Meeting in neutral places. So it's
Yes.
nice when I can go to your home and you come to my home, but
Mm-hmm.
somebody's going to feel slighted if you never come to my home.
Mm-hmm.
I already know there's people going ready for me coming with smoke about how did you go over there? How did you go over there? But I go everywhere. And
That part.
so, right, I go everywhere. And not that I'm badass, I'm just saying I'm not breaking my norm. My
Right.
norm is to go everywhere. If I was
Correct.
locked into one and then I went across the street, like the Chicago Seven, if you remember that or the TV show, they said we're not going to stand for this judge when he comes out. None of us stand. And one of the guys stood, and they're like, "What the?" The entire
Right.
pack was like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah. Yeah.
So I could look like that to the team of why am I standing? Oops, and then I sit down. But that same person who stood was also the one who landed the punch at the end of that movie. For those who saw the movie, the Chicago 7 on Netflix. So my whole point is, know before going into the conversations for anyone, what are the rules of engagement?
Yeah.
What's off limits? And I know we're only talking for entertainment. I know we're only talking for so-and-so, but please be mindful that this is a trigger for me. That's a trigger for me. Please be mindful. None of that is a trigger for me, but my listening audience.
That part, yeah, you're right.
I'm protecting them too.
You're right.
So, you can handle it. I can handle it, but I'm also tasking myself with the responsibility of my audience.
Yeah.
So there's no way in the world Black Men Unfiltered Network was going to let you come off, because all of those warriors up there, all of them are warriors.
Yeah.
And so you might not to them, but I also have to protect those in the audience. And you think about mods, and I don't know how many mods you use. I mean, I see you have some people with wrenches and stuff, but like certain places, spaces that I'm a mod. I'm not even a regular on their channel, but they make me a mod because they feel safe enough. They know that I'm going to help do whatever or add a line or two, whatever they feel comfort in me in that role. Right. So not only do we have family over there in the Black Men Unfiltered Network, but then there are the mods whose family and protecting. Yeah. So it's almost a no-win situation. That's why I say, where's a neutral space and or rules of engagement say this, this, and this, and this. And then the last piece, if that wasn't long enough, when it comes to these type, where I've been most successful with these type of conversations is to check with the audience. Why is your audience here? Because if you have people in the audience who have the ability to hype up others, get him. If people in the audience, then I have to question, hey boss, do you realize that what you want and what I want don't seem to be aligned with what the audience wants? And since your goal is to protect your audience, then most likely I'm going to get the short end of the stick in most cases. So not only do you and I have an alignment, but the people you're representing, or the people that I'm representing, when you said at the beginning, hey, everybody, don't time out, don't lock out, don't whatever, that's the alignment. No, we're open, we're free to this space. And then coming over, when you said, well, I was over there, and actually it was pretty cool to the point where I came back again. But there's some spaces that we go into where I feel the responsibility of protecting BMU. So like my duty as a mod, my duty, even if I'm not a mod, if I'm just in the audience, but that's a panel, that's a show that I frequent. Like, guess what I'm saying in the audience? Get this mother, who's this? Get his queer, right? And BMU can be like, hey, you guys, don't do that. We welcome to hear. Don't. But how much can you control? And same thing when I went on Conscious TV a long time ago, and they were lighting up Mandrell and all that. Yeah. And I came in with my happy ass, neutral. Hey, what happened? But then me and Freezy got into it. And then I'm seeing shocking stuff like, oh, he's a real nigga. He in that fight. I'm like, well, what you think? So know your audience. Yeah. Because they can tip the scales as well. And no matter how well intended the inviters are, people bringing you over, again, back to if you're invited to a party somewhere, and all of a sudden the people in the audience go berserk. It's like, damn, my bad. I didn't plan for that to happen. But you should have known when you came over. No, I didn't know. I trusted you. And so if you experience any type of betrayal in your life, BubzDaGawd, if you've had any type of betrayal in your life, then even if they sneezed heavy over there, it can land a certain way as betrayal when really it was just being themselves. I'm not saying it's right, but it could have landed as wow. But if you really, really, really think about it, anything could set us off. And that's what makes you unique. That you have the tough skin, you have the pride, you have the ego, you have the ability. And even if you get your ass handed to you, it's like, cool, I'll take an L. But the L, what's that saying? A setback is nothing more than a setup for a comeback or something like that.
I change it from a loss to a lesson.
A loss to a lesson. Boom. Yep. Boom. And the same thing over there. I'm going to say, I bet my Bears tickets. R. Payne, who's talking about he's been around, he's a fossil. So he's But he's taking. I mean, that's kind of my joke with him. You know, the
Yeah.
boomers. That
Yeah.
he's a boomer, and he stands on. No, we're not going to take the blame. But at the end of the day, no matter how much he pushes back to protect, there's a little grace to say, okay, I hear you. I hear
Yeah.
you.
He does give
So each
grace.
one of them, I mean, without me going through every single one of them, but each one in their own way
Yeah.
will get there. But first is not bend over first, and I don't mean that sexually. I mean
Hmm.
it's not be kind and soft and weak, and then stand up and say, "Oh, okay." No, it's you came armed, we're armed, and so ding. What tipped the scale? Audience. So
Hmm.
I suggest to be successful, you
Yeah.
know what your goal is, you
Hmm.
know what the other person's goal is, you know that you and your audience are aligned. You can't control their behavior, but aligned. Pick a neutral space, unless you have the faith that you're going to both take turns in each other's or whatever, whatever.
Hmm.
And that's what I say are the requirements,
Right.
the rules of engagement, the requirements to have this be successful. Will you have some bumpy shows, some rocky shows, some mild to wild shows? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the long term goal, you have a short term goal and long term goal, and we hit those and we should be okay.
I agree. I agree, and I think that's the responsibility placed on me, um, to where again when you know brought forth awareness to an area that I could grow into as well. Um, as far as hey, you're talking about you want these conversations, but you ain't even start the conversation on your own show, so it's kind of like maybe it'll have to start with me. And one thing about my channel is I'm trying my best to learn as be as objective as I can, especially if I'm trying to help humanity. And with me being more objective and also understanding that I'm a student, that's going to help me to understand people better. And that's low key been my whole thing my whole life. I grew up in the black church, and I mean, even at a young age, I was 8, 9, 10 years old, the master of ceremony for all these events. Whenever I pastored or go to another church, I was the one representing the church by singing and stuff like that. Like having pastors prophesied over me and tell me that I'm going to be speaking in front of a lot of people, and I have this gift in my voice to where I can captivate people. And it's like for the longest time I was trying to figure out what the missing piece was. And because, like you said earlier, about being rooted in that pain, but learning from that pain, it helped me to show up as a better human being. And even when you look at the narrative of Christ, he didn't come down in this very beautiful, eloquent, just bedazzled the hell out with jewels and shit. No, he came down as the lowliest of man and loved humanity so much that he was willing to die for it. And it was one thing that I think what's his name? I call him Brian Gumble. What's his name? Reckless Ray. Shout out to Reckless Ray. Brian Gumble. White people love Wayne Brady because he makes
Yeah.
Brian Gumble look like Malcolm X. Shout out to him. But he said it was true. He was like, "Are you willing to die for this?" And when you talked about death, that's how I know all this stuff is like really synchronistic because again, what you're saying is true because I've even tell my own audience if you want to have like an instant ego death, think about death. I thought about death a lot growing up with me
Hmm.
being dealing with deletion ideations and not wanting to be here. But it's like once you face death for real, that's when you really start to live. It's like this quote that said in order for you to live you have to die before you die. And I had
Hmm.
that experience so that I can show up as the best version of myself. So even if that
Hmm.
means my life being put on the line, that's fine because I'm going to die anyway. I might as well die for something. And if I'm
Right.
going to die for something, I'd rather die for humanity. I want to live as long as I can. But I mean,
Right.
if it calls for that, you know, I
The
think it's,
sacrifice.
I forgot
Hmm.
the scripture where it says, and please help me because I'm about to paraphrase the hell out this damn scripture. I'm not getting into heaven. I'll be in the slums of heaven. I'll be in the EBT waiting line for heaven. They ain't called my name yet, but it says something along the lines of like the greatest love you can do is like to lay down your life for your fellow brother or something like that. Like it's something along the lines of that. So going forward, thank you for also holding me accountable because again I'm learning. So maybe I just have to find a way to um, be more intentional and not try to start off with the smoke because like even you said That's a defense mechanism. But to actually, if I'm going to go into these spaces, be clear about what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. And if the
Hmm.
smoke has to happen, what they say, what's understood needs no explanation. So I guess I don't have to explain. But
Right.
I just know that
Well,
there are people who do want to have the conversation. They may not truly understand, or they might be scared, but they'll be like, okay, this person is saying something. That's why I wanted to have Tough Topics podcast a part of this live, because I love her commentary. Like, she ain't got to agree with me, but she makes very good points, and I'm like, I want to run with that. Like, I want to talk to someone like that.
right.
Like, we
Right.
need the opposition, but it has to be an opposition that truly genuinely cares, and not just for the entertainment or the egoic aspect of it. So
Right.
me going through all this
Well,
stuff is helping me to learn as well. Go ahead.
okay. Question.
Yes.
Uh, Willing to have the conversation or comfortable? I mean, opposition. Willing to have opposition or they're comfortable to have the opposition with.
Mm,
Because there's capacity and then there's tolerance,
right, correct.
and maybe um, Tough Topics has the capacity to have the conversation and the tolerance, but that exact same conversation can land differently, and so then the fight for what I'm trying to say, it comes off differently. Now, you mentioned myself, uh, Brother Bennett,
Yeah.
and the sisters. Now, my own, I
Shout out
just
to
told Mr.
Tyrell.
Bennett this. I
Go
feel
ahead.
who?
I said Tyrell. Shout out to him.
Oh, and Tyroo. Yeah. Now, in my own words, and I just said this to Mr. Bennett, so I feel comfortable saying it again. I said, man, I think we're considered the softest of that crew, and we laughed because um, I said, well, if you line this up, soft as in more universal, more middle down the road, more this and that.
Gray area. Yeah.
So then it's like, he picked the women and the two softest men. But is it about the softest, or is it about, well, they're more than willing to have a humanistic conversation. They see both sides with no hidden agendas, like they're more open. Okay, let's go
Right.
with that route.
Right.
But here's the challenge to that.
Mhm.
I don't think I'm any more, in my opinion, I would say, well, I'm not really any more open than anyone else over there. I just have some additional perspectives.
Yeah.
Notice the difference. Openness and perspectives. You say, well, isn't that the same? No. I see some additional perspectives. So therefore, places where I should be closed, I don't have pushback because I can't speak to that. I don't have pushback because I know how human behavior. But when it comes to openness, so I'm not religious. But if I were to think about religion, when some of those homes I was in, they would bring me to church, and I love some of them choirs. Them choirs be jamming.
Oh yeah.
The
Gays can
was
sing.
it the New Temptations with Beyonce, whatever that movie was, the Fighting Temptations. Woo! So, but the Jesus I grew up on, even though he had blue eyes, I ain't never known him to engage in same gender loving. And the only story I heard was about some lady named Mary. Now, as much as I joke, I don't want to offend anyone because I want to get into my joking about Mary and Jesus and all that. And then there are times I say, shoot, I think I'm the modern day Jesus, which I'm not. But what I mean by that is I can't find no stories of Jesus being married. I can't find no stories of Jesus being his childhood. And then if it's true that he was left in the basket or whatever, then that's abandonment issues. So, but
He
again,
was
I'm
human.
not. Yeah. I'm
He
not here to
was human.
I just take that away. And so, guess what? The moment you enter religion into the conversation, it doesn't mean I'm open. I just said, well, I have some additional perspectives. But I'm not open to sharing those, shifting those. And in fact, if I'm defensive about my God, then when we start talking about religion and all mankind and all, but there's no evidence.
That part.
There's no evidence to same loving. So if I have my firm belief that Jesus said, if I have my firm belief that God said, then anything coming out your mouth is considered offensive because
Blasphemous.
we're talking about my almighty,
Yeah.
But I need to take the time to then consider, wait a second, because there's a blurb that says God made everything
Come on.
and everyone and said it is good. Period. It is man that uses words like awesome, fabulous, fantastic. God said good.
Yeah.
And if God is the creator of and all, so then I have to reposition my argument to say, I hear you mentioning Jesus and God. I'm uncomfortable with that. And that's that's where I pushed and say, hey, I'm glad you mentioned Jesus and all that, but listen, because I don't know enough, I didn't see it. That's not what I grew up on. Well, that's what the conversations are about. But I need to take this in bite sizes. I need to take this in chunks. I need to take this in stages. And I'm ready to talk about community. I'm ready to talk about not deleting each other.
Yeah.
I'm willing to talk about, hey, if I see one of my friends wanting to harass or bully someone because they identify differently, I'm willing to say, hey, come on, man, don't do that. I'm willing to do that. But now you start mentioning my God, I need more time for that. I need more time. So some of the conversation feels good to have when we start growing in it. Like, okay, cool. Let me get to my next question. And then we hit a spot where I wasn't ready,
Yeah.
or I feel overwhelmed, or I get into my feelings about it, and then I'm ready to fight because I believe you should have known better. You should have known better. And then I think you're coming from a certain slant. Like, why the hell would he? No, see, you on some fuckery shit. Here you go. Here you go. Oh, wait, let me add for 200 years, y'all been on some fuckery. So all that's unannounced to you is in my mind. You don't hear it, but now I'm casting you as all the same. And vice versa. When I'm having these conversations, what I've heard the most consistently from queer people or those who identify LGBTQIA, what I've heard consistently, independently, so not a group meeting, independently, what I heard is, I just want a chance to live like you have a chance.
Yeah.
And I said, well, whoa. I mean, but we both, as black, no. There's the other race that doesn't like you or me. One-on-one. We both have a point. There's the other gender that may not, wait, you get half a point because the women don't see me as a threat. You get half, I get half a point, you get a full point. When we start stacking up the points, then male to male, black to black, you have 2 more points. You have a better chance of living than I do. You have a better chance of walking down the street and walking however you want without someone saying you walk funny, you talk funny, you look funny. You have a better chance of getting a job. Now I say this is shifting. You have a better chance of getting a job where someone is not, in the break room or bathroom talking about, yeah, you see them effing, blah, 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 them effing, blah, 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 making jokes. You have a better chance of being accepted. So when we start weighing the scales, I hear consistently and independently more from non-heterosexual people saying, I just want to live. And if I came out funny, if I came out weird, if whatever you want to call me, I don't give a damn. I want to live.
That part.
And did I try and fuck you?
That part.
Well,
Hello.
No. Well, no. I mean, you know better. If I knew better or not, did I try to fuck you? No. So you bring the heat and the smoke as if I tried to do something to you.
Exactly.
And then when I come to talk to you, I'm not coming with my zipper down. I don't understand what all the now.
When it come to them
It's
over
gonna
there, I got
sound
on a damn chastity belt. Okay.
right. Now this part's gonna sound wicked, and I think I did it on the other show.
Come on,
So it's
gallows
not.
humor. I like it.
Yeah. So if I think of you as a roach, if I think of you as a mouse, if I think of you as anything that's odd, strange, or scary, big ass elephant runs from a mouse.
Yeah.
So if I think of you as less than, if I think of you as some type of creature, then I don't even want to discuss. No, get it away from me. Get it away. No. And then the more you inch over, no, look, Anna, get the fuck away from me. I told you I don't
Yeah.
play that shit. I don't play that. Well, I wasn't trying to play. I wasn't trying to play. I'm being humbled. In fact, if anything, you're the big ass elephant, and I have potential to be squashed.
Yeah.
But so if any of us is in danger, it's in me. I'm the weird one, right? If anyone gets sprayed with the roach spray, it's me. I'm the roach. Well, you act so scared. Yeah, because you look fucking scary, man. You get to just stay the hell away. Now, see, that's why I got to beat your ass. Oh, thank you for telling me. Thank you for warning me. Because now I know to carry, because you just looking at me makes you want to hurt me. So I have to protect myself. And then boom, now we're doing the very thing that we said. We're doing the very thing that we say we don't want. But I want you to take into perception. I'm not saying it's right. I'm adding that caveat that if you think about it, for those who are not open to seeing anything outside of a roach, a bug, a mouse, weird, fucked up, crazy, and here's the killer. For those who think this, you chose to put that outfit on. So don't get upset with me if I fuck you up. You know, when you see that TV show, that Mission Impossible, you see that movie?
Which one? There's a bunch of them.
Just Mission Impossible. You know of that show, right?
I think I've seen it. I think I've seen a few of the movies. That's
Well,
with
you know they
Tom
put on the
Cruise, right?
mask. Yeah, they put on the
Okay.
mask,
Okay.
and then to make sure you're not one of the agents, they tuck on the face,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they say, "Oh, you're real." But do we really, what's that mean to tug on the face to make sure you're real?
Yeah.
What does it mean? And I'll say one more thing about the experience that I've had with non-heterosexual people. Part of the reason they also feel like they grow in the numbers is because of not being heard. Let me give it, I do analogies.
Right.
The movie theaters. I said, God damn, $8 for a soda?
She.
32-ounce soda? I can get 2 liters. As I'm pulling out my cash.
It's a whole car note.
Huh? Right. $8. But I still just sitting up there, my happy ass just guggling and sipping away. And the only prize for me is it's a refillable cup. Well, shit, I gotta leave the movie to get it refilled. So then I think I'm gonna get a bonus when I leave the theater. I'm gonna fill up the cup when I leave the theater and take some soda with me. $8. Next time I go, it's $10. Last time I went to movies, it's $8. Now the movie is $20. I keep complaining, but we keep going. Now here's the irony in that.
Yeah.
For the few who stop going is why the theaters raise the prices. Because when it was $5, we didn't have enough people paying the $5, plus to make the cups wherever they make them, and then to bring in all those prices are going up, and no people are willing to pay the $6. No people are willing to pay, so we have to charge the $8, $9, $10 to make up for the people who stop buying. So look at the irony in that.
Yeah.
So those who, now I'm not saying those who are queer are damn Pepsi cups. What I'm saying is, if I feel not heard, not listened to, and I have a question, it may have started with the question like, I am attracted, I am aroused. Well, let me talk this, get the hell away. Oh, my bad. Hey, I wonder, I feel, and they say it's not the norm. Well, hey, you're a freak. Oh, well, shit. No wonder it's easy for me to go and then ignore heterosexual people, because when I was trying to ask a question, not your approval, I don't need a goddamn approval for shit. I wasn't asking for your approval. I was saying, hey, I want to share, I want to talk, I want to ask, I want to explore, I want to know why, because according to what you say, it goes against the norm. So I don't want to be some weirdo, or I don't need to ask you anything. I just wanted to share with you the same way you came to work and said, oh yeah, I hung out with my wife and I hung out with my husband, and I want to be able to say, I hung out with my dude, or if a woman to woman, I hung out with my girl, and not have you frown all up at the face.
Right.
So I'm asking to share in the space with you. How can we do that? And if we can't, no worries. I will stay to my side. In fact, it's safer
Yeah.
on my side. This is what the non-heterosexual people tell me. And when I say do the research, I'm talking about have the conversations. Even this show, Bubs, what did I say? Hey, if Tough Podcast doesn't come on, invite whoever you like. Now, not similar to when you said I'm coming over there and I'm happy to do it by myself. Similar to that, but me not saying I'm coming over and I'm ready for the smoke. Me coming over saying, hey, as many people who we can enjoy having the conversation with, let's do it. And
Right.
how that relates is because at the end of the conversation, even if we agree to disagree, because this is not a conversion conversation.
That
We're
part.
not having
Exactly.
a conversion conversation. I put my
Exactly.
fears to the side, I
Hmm.
put my biases to the side, and we are both talking about the end game. We are both talking about the long game. We are both talking about regardless if I like dick or coochie, when I look in the mirror, you see that I'm black. And
Yeah.
just the sight of that is getting us killed. And then you add on top of that, you don't like what I do, so you're taking me out, and I don't want to get taken out. So guess what? I might take you out first. That's what the end of the day conversation is about. And when people remember that piece, that's when we can start having better conversations.
Yeah.
But that requires, and people don't take time to think about all this clinical stuff and all this long. It's not even all clinical, but people don't take time to think about Tay Roos. Yeah, he was diehard dedicated in the conversation. I listened to him go at it against the network and have those conversations in honor of and advocacy of Mr. Bennett and I and the women. But if you go outside of that, if I'm patriarchal, if I believe in that, then my job is to protect the women. I don't give a damn if you talk to Mrs. Mary herself. Take heed and all of them. My duty is to protect them.
Right.
In fact, the flak, that the heat, the smoke. Why do you protect those sisters? That's my duty to protect them. So they count, but they don't count for as far as when you say, "Well, I want to," and maybe she. No, why? Talk to me. Talk to me. Well, maybe
Mm.
Mr. Bennett. Why? You know, Mr. Bennett, not even soft, but you know he's. So is it that you want to convince? Remember, the last meeting you walked away smiling, feeling good, but there's a possibility, me being sarcastic, but there's a possibility someone's reaching behind saying, did he just grease us up? Why? Because we had a good conversation. That means I'm on some shit?
Mm-hmm.
Uh yeah. Wow. And when I listen to that in the most neutral position, I think that's really fucked up. You mean I can't have a good conversation and walk away and say, wow, that was a productive, good conversation without me being on some shit? Why do I have to be that way? But then when I go into my logical mind says, well, here's the reality. The reality is, yeah, you came over. Yeah, we watched the centipede, the thing with 1,000 legs on each side. I
Mm-hmm.
watched
Mm-hmm.
it run across the room and I didn't stomp on it and kill it, partly because the thing moves so goddamn fast.
Okay.
And the other part is because I just want to see where it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so the centipede gets home like, wow, he just smashed me out. But in my mind, I was just thinking, come out again,
Mm.
come out again. And so, sir, unfair. I say people are not doing the work to understand that no matter how different, because it's a centipede, roach, rat, or whatever, it is a living mechanism. The mechanism. It is a living, not being. It is a
Living
living.
thing.
Who?
I don't say living thing. It's living. It's alive.
Yeah, it's life. It's,
It's
it's a life.
alive.
Right. It's a
It's
life.
another form of life
Yep. It has eyes and ears, or whatever, depending on
and a
what the thing is. But it has
purpose.
eyes and ears, heart, and the ass that eats and shits.
Mm-hmm.
Even a plant, right? You feed it. It's a living mechanism,
Yeah.
but human to human. If we can get to that part first,
Yeah.
and if we can't, no worries. But how do we then share in the same space? I yield.
Yeah. I mean, ain't nothing much to really say because y'all could. I told y'all, Dr. Dacun, what this to me, this is what again real conversations look like. And for me, especially since 2020, I've kind of been in this place where I've been learning to really like walk by faith. And if there's some L's, okay, turn that into a lesson. Like to not be afraid of life, because I spent a lot of life in fear, or realizing that fear is only just going to be a mechanism or a stepping stool for me to get somewhere else. FEAR, false evidence appearing real. That's why with a lot of my
Mm.
commentary, I always make sure to put the word fear in there, not to judge the person, but to judge the ideas that support the fear. And if it was just, oh, I don't like queer people and that's it, that's cool, that's okay with it. But then it becomes the issue of, oh, they're mentally ill, they're this whole demonizing aspect of it, that it becomes dangerous, to where once again, when queer people just say they want to live their life, they can't even live their life. It's like they have to be forced back into the closet. So it's in order for
Well,
us
come
to
out the
have
closet. Come out the closet,
at,
Bubs.
let me
We
tell you
all.
something.
I know it's not that easy.
No, I blew
Uh,
I blew up the closet. Ain't
right,
no
right.
closet left. Ain't no closet left.
Everyone, remember spectrum.
Yeah, spectrum, yes.
Everyone falls on the spectrum of mental illness.
Mm,
I'm wide open to the conversation or the debate. At the end of the day,
mm-hmm.
if you believe in science and biology and all that,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we all fall on the spectrum of mental illness.
Yeah, we're
So
all
I get what
human.
you're saying, because they don't. No one says it that way. We make it seem like you're all fucked up, but we all
Mm-hmm.
fall on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because what is normal? What is normal? And
Yeah.
who's normal? Who's normal?
Yeah.
So let me flip it. Let me ask you, what would you suggest? What? How does it get done? How do these conversations get done? What do you suggest?
Um, I suggest, like what you had said, as far as having them in neutral spaces and people who are qualified to be mediators, like yourself, to do that, and to try to do what you can, like when you're having a jury process, you ask all these questions to do the best you can to make sure you have a very objective, jury or whatever. Try to do that as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to work through the triggers, work through the fear, work through the humanness, the mental illness you talk about. It's just the fact of us realizing that we have to find something outside of us to be enough when we're really all we need. That's the mental illness. That's how I define it, in the expression of it or whatever. All
Mm-hmm,
the mental illnesses are rooted in that. That's what I believe. But to actually
mm-hmm,
show people that we can go through this. Here I am, a same gender loving man. You are a heterosexual man. Here it is. We're sharing experiences of our own lives that are human, that are relatable, that people can understand. That's the important. That's what I want to do. That's like what we're doing now is what I feel like we need to continue to do. Find
right.
individuals who have the wherewithal to actually do it. Another thing, like you mentioned, to make sure you low key qualified to talk about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm,
mean? If you were in the court of law, when they have some sort of crime analysis or someone who's on the stand who's a professional, they always start off with their credentials. Okay, sir, who are you? Tell us who you are and your credentials, to help them validate what's going on. And no
mm-hmm,
shade, I've already said that. I said there are certain people who are not qualified for the conversation, and I named who those people were, and they weren't on the panel. But I
mm-hmm,
guess now what I'm going to have to do on my channel is I'm just going to have to go ahead and be the change that I seek. So having more of these conversations, hopefully we can have you back, as much as you want, because again, you are definitely welcome here, and you have wisdom and nuggets of truth as well that I listen to, that I really appreciate. And I know for a fact, as I can see in the comments, a lot of my followers, or not followers, I hate saying that word, supporters, are vibing with the conversation, because again, these are healing conversations. That's what I'm
mm-hmm,
more so into right now, the healing conversations. I'm just using a lot of the stuff that's happening in the world as a springboard to get to this point, because at the end of the day, we're all human. And if we work through our bullshit, we would see that. And I do believe it's possible. Like, when there's a will, there's a way.
mm-hmm.
So I hope
Well,
that answers your
what's
question.
possible though? What do people in the audience or you walking away with? What do we accomplish today?
We accomplished that there are heterosexual men who are securing themselves to where they can enter into these spaces and really show that they care and show the receipts for it and don't really give a damn what other people think about them because they know what true healing looks like.
Hmm.
So the fact that we're having that conversation, the fact that we're able to respect each other, to share our own experiences, not cut each other off, or if there's an interjection, like I'm learning that those conversations that are fruitful and life-giving are possible, but I have to continue to do the work on myself too to make sure that I can help manifest them. Which is why I appreciate your critique, because your critique is only meant to make me better, and I don't take it in a negative or egotistical way.
Hmm.
So, what I'm walking away from this was to do better and to keep following the path that I'm on, and that there's more that's required of me on my own platform and with my own energy. And now I'm being called publicly to task, and now I have to do it.
Hmm.
And I've been asking for this on the back end, as far as God, source, universe working for me in reference to my gifts and talents. And now I'm being called to that. It's like an affirmation. And at this point,
Hmm.
with me walking in faith, God, look, all I'm gonna do is just be aware of the opportunities, and whatever opportunity it is, I'm gonna give it my all. If it's a no, that means it's one step closer to a yes. Like that's what
Hmm.
I'm on. So
Okay.
I took that. Hopefully that answered the
Okay.
question.
It did. One more part to that question.
Yes.
Um, and I asked you earlier, but for alignment purposes,
Mhm.
what is the end game? Not game as in playing a game, but what is the end goal?
Uh, the end goal for me is two things. One, to live my best life as
Hmm.
BubzDaGawd, and secondly, do all I can to connect with others who are just as free as I am.
Okay. Nice. Now here's the challenge. So what I heard you say from when I listened through a certain lens, when
Hmm.
I adjust my lens, what I heard is you and I actually had the same goals.
Yeah.
Okay. When I listen through a different lens,
Hmm.
what I say is, and let me do it in my raw
Yeah.
form. You don't give a shit about any. All this shit has been about you. So
Mm.
I had some experiences. I have witnessed threatening behaviors. I have been threatened. I want reassurance. I want to let people know it can be done. I want to actually show you how it's done. And then what's the end goal? Well, I want to be the best Bubs the God, and
Yeah.
I want to. So when you align all those eyes together, anyone outside of you can see it as you don't want to have the conversation, the bigger
Mm.
conversation. Because check this out, we yet to have talk about, and I know it's time. Yeah, we could
Yeah.
talk. I mean, this is probably like 20-hour conversation, right? But we've yet to even get into what are the depths,
Yeah.
what are the areas
Yeah.
that people are getting hurt, what are the conversations that we shouldn't be saying, what are causing. We didn't even get into those. And now, of course, I would say this is like the first like deep dive.
Yeah.
But with that being said, it's easy for anyone outside of this clinical perspective that's will say, we ain't want to talk about shit. You wanted me to accept you. That's what that is. And then if you think about, now I'm whispering, pretending I'm whispering. I'm talking loud enough so you can hear me, but pretend I'm whispering. If you think about it, with my history and or your history, it does feel good. It does feel good when people, I mean, it feels awesome
Hmm.
when we are reassured. Am I
Yeah.
doing this to be reassured? No, because it's above me and more than just me.
Right.
But in the moment, damn, that alignment felt good.
Yeah.
And then let's go one layer deeper, because I go deeper, deeper, deeper
Yeah.
layers.
Yeah.
The next layer after you felt good, I knew you were on some fuck shit, and you trying to get us all to feel good so you can bend me over. That's how y'all do that. See, you
What?
see that? Did you see it? I mean, did you hear how I just kind of put that together?
Yeah.
But so then the trust, we got to start building the trust. The
Yeah.
end game is not for me to be bleeping you. I don't give a fuck about you. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to. Come on now, I already got my own shit. If I was trying to do that, I'd have met you on Grinder. I'd have met you on blah 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 blah. There are all kind of other. I am here. making
Got you.
myself
Yeah. Yeah.
vulnerable, putting it out there so we can talk about living. But to
Mm-hmm.
get to that point, both or one, well, I'm going to say your side of the conversation because we're talking about people who, a group of people, an entire life form that's
Yeah.
considered less than.
Yeah.
Now, who made that rule? I don't know. Do I need to Do I need to abide by it? Do I need to be angry with you for what? You ain't do nothing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who have hurt me in my life, that's that individual. So when a group hears the I from a from a um, from a person that is already considered different, less than, messed up, mentally ill, then I think they're trying to get me to conform, switch sides, or if nothing else, they just wanted space to be heard that they are liked and that they equal to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the challenge I invite. I invite heterosexual men, black men, all people, but I
Mm-hmm.
invite all of us to look at, do we not also want to feel validated?
Yeah. Come on.
Even if we are already the norm, we are already the majority, but I still want validation,
Mm-hmm.
to be acknowledged, to be loved, and on a good day, to be accepted and live. So I want the same thing you're talking about. And that's even coming from the majority. So the invite to all of us
Yeah.
is that if you have red hair or purple hair, if you have no hair, if you're fat, tall, skinny, female, male, or any gender that you feel, cool. If we're talking about living life, how do we do this together? And please know, in order for me to want me to do this for you, I have to feel value in it for myself. In
Yeah.
order for me to, and I'm not talking about love. I was going to challenge you on that. Uh, Side note, pause. Are you ticklish? I know that may even sound like a little sneaky. I know that sound right, right? But was it
Only on my feet.
on your feet?
That's
Okay.
why I
The
can't
reason
get
I
no
asked that,
pedicure. I'd kick somebody in the face.
okay, right, right. Let me ask: have you ever tickled somebody?
Hell yeah.
Okay, you did, but you didn't need to be ticklish in order to tickle.
No.
So when they say you need to love yourself before you can give love, I challenge that. I'm not
Okay.
ticklish. I don't,
Mm.
but a plant, it receives an outside source to live, water and the
Mm.
sunlight. That's outside of it. It doesn't live without the sunlight. I mean, there are a
Right.
couple plants that can do it, but then they call those the weirdos.
Yeah.
But there are a couple plants that can do it. But my whole point is, in this case, I want to feel this is one of those cases I want to be acknowledged and valued. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I'm bringing that into the conversation, and since I'm already the privileged, then I don't have to speak to mine as loud. Hell, I might not have to speak to
Mm.
mine at all.
Right.
Whereas you or anyone else who identifies as one of the different people, then you have to start out the gate with, well, wait a second, just so you know, damn what you say about me, and I really don't give a fuck what you say about me because I know who I am.
That part.
But
Yeah.
let's just first find some common ground.
Yeah.
That common ground happens to look very individualized. It happens to look very like you're up to something because we hear I, and because we grew up so long in this world believing that if we attach to you, you're going to try and convert us.
Mm-hmm.
And why are people trying to convert you? Well, no one's really trying to convert anyone, but they are saying, hey, I'm just as human as you are. I would like to join with you. And don't worry, until you feel something hit you in the back of the head or down your throat, you ain't got to worry about me doing nothing to you. I'm talking about joy.
Right.
I'm talking about joining with you in the sense that we all belong. Anyway, did that make sense? I mean, because again, it
Yes.
was okay.
Yes. It definitely makes sense. It does. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's why I say, like, when you look at history, I feel like we're literally back in the 60s and 70s where all of this love and awareness and hippie energy and weed and all this
Yeah,
other stuff happened. Like, but that's why I'm like, we're in the technological internet age now to where it's like you can connect with anybody. I feel like this is the time to really deepen those conversations. So, and you're absolutely right. Like, there is no way we're going to solve blackness and queerness and fear in one live. Like you said, there's going to have to be a level of dedication. It's going to have to be like, okay, on this week, y'all, we're going to have part 2 on this channel, part 3, like already have this stuff planned out in advance, and
Right.
have other people come on, share those thoughts, even challenge people and say, look, don't just have these conversations online. When you're out in the world, those are also opportunities to practice what you preach. And
Yes.
if we could have more awareness in love, that would solve a lot of the stuff. But that's why I said we have to deal with the fear, because Dr. Nakumbe, on my channel, I have done so many lives, 5-6 hour lives about the experiences of queer people, not just from the past, but up till today. And when you do any sort of debate or any sort of argument, one thing you have to do is to establish a concrete timeline. And queer people have been proving that. But then when we start to have more awareness and we start to educate queer youth with books and stuff like that that can actually speak to them, because who's going to talk to the queer children about their experiences of life that their heterosexual peers are going to be able to have? Like, I didn't. That's probably why my relationship aspects were so fucked up in my 20s, because I didn't have the chance to really be myself and date another man until I was 18 years old. And I had to come out of the closet, and my father going through a whole mental breakdown because of that. I wonder how my life would have been like as far as romance if I was able to, as a child, be able to express myself and have boyfriends, just like how my heterosexual peers have their partners, and it not be an issue or a problem or something wrong. But then when that happens, it's like you said, now it's about you pushing that onto me or pushing that onto my children. And not only do my children have to live with the stigma, I now have to live with the stigma as a parent of a queer child. I have a whole live on my video, Lord, this weed. I have a whole live on my channel, and I implore you to watch it whenever you get a chance, Dr. Nakumbe, where I sat down with my parents about a few years ago on a live and asked them questions about how did they come to accept their queer children, because their son is queer and their daughter is queer as well. So it's kind of like to show people that there are people who can go through fear and make it on the other side and not compromise their ticket to heaven or compromise their relationship with God. Like, it's really about what you believe. It's really about what you believe. So I think like this conversation here is like a grassroots movement, and I want to continue this. I definitely want to continue this. We need to do this, but again, it needs to be with people who are qualified. I think that's another thing we need to take into consideration too. If you just
What
get
does
up here,
qualified mean? What do you mean by qualified?
like you said, as far as showing the credentials that you have, the receipts that you have, the lived experience, like there has to be a humanistic aspect to it as well, because when you're tapping to that human side, you'll be a lot more relatable. It's just the credential just validate some of the legal aspects of it, like if we were to take this to court or to science or whatever, but also including the lived experiences. So, and for people who are willing to understand people's points, you know what I mean? Like to really to talk about them. So it's possible. It's possible, but I'm
Right.
just realizing it has to start with me.
Right.
So
All right. So consider this for everyone listening. Here's some perspectives on solutions
yes,
that
please.
move us closer to some additional conversations.
Yes.
First, really understanding that intersectional, and now because on that show, I think if I'm not mistaken, Bubs, you said no, it's not about, or someone may have said, if it weren't you, someone said it's not about intersections. And I want us to think about understanding how much we are connected. So again, let's start with Black, and let's start with men. So we already have that connection. Let's talk about the race in America and the race wars in America. So that's another intersection. When we talk about these classes, because we can go economic status as well. But whichever one of these that we look at that we actually intersect, and then how do we overlap? And then how much of this is an independent thing versus kind of a universal thing? Because there might be some things that only apply to me, but still as a Black man, or as Black, as a man, so on and so on and so on. So that look at how we, and I believe if we look at how we connect more than we are apart, then the invite, the welcoming should be, there should be a greater welcoming because you're not as different, or I'm not as different as
Yeah.
it appears.
Yeah.
And looking at the attitudes, because how many of these attitudes belong to me versus me being the carrier? You know, the Olympics, you carry that torch, you're the last one to get it and go light the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So how much am I carrying that is part of someone else's pain or history or experience,
Yeah.
that I'm advocating for, but I'm saying no, it's never happened to me. But then why do you have such hostility towards me? Well, because I heard so and so and so and so. Okay, but I've never hurt anyone because they look some kind of way. Well, your people. So even though I'm denying that I did it, I still have to look at, well, okay, because if it was something positive or happy-go-lucky, I would definitely stand up like, yeah, that's my people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but now I'm hearing something negative.
Yeah.
Let me be willing to adjust my attitude to look into it to see what can I do to add an ounce of safety to this brother who are here asking for a chance to live just like I have a chance to live.
Right.
How can I adjust my attitude to where I'm accepting of that? I also have to be aware of the social norms. Let's be aware of the social norms. Society the way our current day is different. It is different today than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And some of the stuff might have been growing, but the one thing that's not changed has not changed. And I feel even like, dang, one of the things I take away is like nonstop, every angle I'm telling you how, well, yeah, you're seeing it's not good enough. Every angle, well, yeah, you're considered a roach. It's like, God damn, was there anything positive? And so even though you had the strength to have the conversation, you and the listeners, but I walk away still thinking, well, shit, thank you for reminding me of how messed up we are, I guess. Like, I don't even know how we got messed up, but okay, thank you for the reminder. So I say to everyone, what brings us closer in this conversation is to look at how much of this are we carrying. Like, do you have any gay friends, queer friends, family members? You say, yeah, but that's my cousin. Well,
Mm-hmm.
so it's okay if your cousin's queer, but then the rest of the world, yeah, and blah blah. Well, wait a second. Look at the attitudes and look at the social norms that we're bringing into this. Does it really apply when it comes to someone saying, I just want a chance to live? Does the social norms, because right now, a man is garbage. A man is not supposed to be anything. Right now, according to the new norms, I'm less than.
Mm-hmm.
According to the new norms, white people are getting the heat. White men are getting the heat. So am I carrying this attitude into it or that in attitude? And then one more thing to think about, personal beliefs. How can we have these conversations without taking it personal? Because
Yeah.
Bubs, everything I said today, I haven't heard you take it personal. It could be the weed that's helping you out, but but on my end, I haven't received anything that I've taken personal. Of course, I talk 90% of the time, so of course I shouldn't take anything personal.
Oh,
But
Lord.
for everyone listening, I hope you heard a flow, even if I dominated the time because I did a lot of explaining, but the flow of having the conversation without taking things personal.
Yeah.
I think you offered me a correction or an adjustment or something, and vice versa. We were able to do that because we didn't personalize it. You
Right.
still walk away with your sexual beliefs. I still walk away with my sexual beliefs, but we both walk away saying, okay, there was a conversation and no one got hurt in the process.
Right.
And even if it does hurt, because I say no one got hurt physically in the process, but when we dig deep in the soul searching,
Yeah.
even from the fact that, wow, did we even mention the fact that both of us come from a history of abuse?
Mm-hmm.
And let one angle be, one lens is, oh, that's why Bubs is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let another angle, that's why Doc is the way he is. Two alcoholics grew up in the same home. Why are you an alcoholic? Shit, I grew up in an alcoholic home. Well, why are you not an alcoholic? Shit, I grew up in an alcoholic home. So one lens saying, yeah, you are this way, you are messed up because you grew up in it, because you've been impacted by violence, because you've been traumatized, and then the other person, well, I've had some of the same experiences, now what? Well, maybe it's just something you're not telling. So you've not had any adverse childhood experiences ever? Remember the example I gave, Bubs? It was a non-abusive one,
Right.
but people still walk away with abandonment, betrayal, so on and so on. So anyway, look at our personal beliefs. Try not to take things personal. And when it comes to qualifying, Bubs, I challenge that and say, well, if we can go into the conversation, I think the qualifier wouldn't just be, if I lived it or had the education. It'll be I'm willing to have the conversation in a respectful manner,
Understandable.
right? And then also look at what respect is. Ask four people you trust independently, what's their different definition of respect. I bet you get 3 different answers for the same one word. So respectfully, can we have the conversation, set the guidelines for what goes out of the bounds for respect? Like that might be your respect, but hold on, Charlie Brown, you're going a little bit too. So that's my offer to the community for everyone listening wide, no matter what side you land on, however you identify as. I say it is doable. I agree with you, BubzDaGawd. This conversation can happen. Keep in mind the inconsistencies or things that look like they don't line up. So if BMU came here and said, hey, what's the link? Let me jump on. And you say no. But now for someone who's listening from only one portion of it, they hear the no as rejection.
Right.
And then there's all this belief that you didn't allow. No, I did allow, but when that time happened, this was the experience. And now I'm going a different angle. And this is the conversation I'm having. But you know already there's going to be someone to walk away saying you were not open to the conversation. And then even I could take away and say, well, he stated opposition. What was it? The best way to opposition? What was it? Something about opposition. Let me look it up. There's no great conversation without opposition. Okay.
And not you using a quote from a queer man too. Damn. Go ahead.
Oh, James Baldwin? Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. But when I think of that, I say, well, good point. And then now here's where I can personalize and be like, so did we not have a great conversation? And that's not what he's saying, but there I go questioning. Did we not have a great conversation? And was there not enough opposition? Then I flip and say, oh, wait a second. I don't know if we really had opposition because it was a reassuring conversation. Oh, so we never got into. And then boom, 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 boom. And that's what takes us away from the conversation. I start getting into my thoughts about that comment. The comment implies that you weren't open, and then you saying no. And it's not just like if you two had a phone call and you said no. It's the perception of everyone listening. It's like, wow, really? So see how we're all fucked in that situation? Yeah. All 3 angles. It looks like it's a no-win. He was not invited up. You were saying, I want to keep the space safe in what I'm doing now. And there I could be second questioning and guessing and da-da-da-da. All 3 angles, if we don't use our wise mind, meaning the rational and the emotional, we don't think right in the center to say, well, Nakumbi, Doc Nakumbi, do not personalize this. I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing. BubzDaGawd, you know what you're doing. You know why you want to have this conversation in the invites. BMU knew there was an opportunity, offered to come up. This time it didn't work. And we walk away with those perspectives and we know that we live for another day. Right. But in most cases, the society we live in, one of the 3, if not all 3, walk away feeling slighted. And then add the additional caveats. Oh, 200 years of y'all been, last 5 years of y'all, last 5 years show the numbers have increased in the deaths of queer people. That's what the numbers I see. But then if you look at the percentages of queer people, you say, oh, that's a small percentage. If one death could have been avoided, I'm not talking about from illness or cancer or something like that. I'm talking about if one death from anger, misunderstanding, prejudice, whatever, if one of those could have been avoided, well, that's good for you. You sound sweet and like a kind man. I am a kind man. Because I oh shit. oh shit, do I really care about all the deaths, or is it because I don't want to disappoint? See how fucked up this whole
Yeah,
thing is, and that's why these conversations I consider to be critical.
yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right.
All right,
That's
boss. What else?
huh?
I said, what else? What as we wrap up here,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah. Because I know you.
what do you have?
I guess. Well, if you have any questions, we'll have like a 5 minute segment for Dr. Nakumbe to answer like a question or two, because he's given a lot of his time, which I really do appreciate. Because again, he get paid for this. Okay, so the
We
fact that he cut.
we share in this time together. I
Okay.
have a profession that I get paid, and I'm assuming in order for you to live, you have a profession too.
Yes.
So neither
Yes.
one of us right now are making money, unless I mean
Right.
I don't know if you're gonna sell it, wrap it up as a CD package or what, but right now neither one of us are making money, so we are sharing in this space together. We are both sacrificing.
Yes, yes, and I thank you so much for that. And I think that's also going to be another element in order for advocacy. You're going to have to sacrifice some things. You're going to have to.
Hmm.
Like there are things in my life since 2020 that I've been sacrificing, and when I look at other people who have sacrificed things in their life to manifest what they want, and not just what they want, but to get to such a space of where they're in overflow, where they can just share their overflow. I'm trying to tap into that energy. So it's like the fact these conversations are happening in the midst of all the people's perspectives and all that type of stuff. When you were going back about saying I think we should change it to like this. There is no I in team, right? But there is me,
Hmm.
me. So if we can
Right.
look at it as far as I make up part of the team, or like Michael Jackson
Mm.
said in Man in the Mirror, in order for me to make a change, I got to start with the man in the mirror. I have to be the change that I seek. So I think it's very important that we have to get back to that and back to actual community. Like when I think about the 60s and 70s, I tell myself a lot, I was born in the wrong damn time era, because back then it was united front. We had black exploitation films. Some of the best fucking music came out, and I heard that the weed was better back then than it was today. So I'm very
Right.
upset about that I missed that train. But it's
Yeah.
like, and it's crazy because it's like when I see the black community now, a part of me understands that a lot of us collectively are dealing with like battle fatigue syndrome or something. Like we're tired. We've been
Hmm.
surviving for so long that even when one of us tries to live, we have the whole crab in the barrel mentality. Like I'll give you an example, and then we can wrap it up if they have any questions. Even in the queer
Hmm.
community, and I'll even have some accountability for the queer community. For example, when there's pride, they'll usually also have some seminars, sometimes talking about HIV and AIDS awareness, just anything that could really help benefit the community and help change some of the stigmas or whatever. When you go into those spaces, it's barely people in there. It's only the first few rows that are in there. But don't let it be known that a very famous porn star is going to be at a certain type of club that night, and it be so damn jam packed, the fire department has to be called out. So it's kind of like we can't sit up here. It's kind of like with the black community at large. It's kind of like we can't sit up here and talk about what people outside of us are doing and then completely ignore the damage we're doing to ourselves because we can't change what's happening outside of us. So now it's becoming a more internal type of thing, and I think that type of conversation needs to happen. And I think it needs to happen with people who, regardless of the credentials or whatever, I feel like the bare minimum is if you have healed from your painful experiences and it has made you better, I feel like that qualifies you for the conversation. Because in order for
Mm.
you to believe that anybody else can make it, you got to believe that you can make it first. So for people who do survive and what doesn't kill them makes them stronger, that's why they
Hmm.
do end up trying to advocate for other people who've been down that road, who's going down that road, who's still stuck in that road. And I think that's very important. But now we just need to see who those people really are. And those people who show that, we have to be accountable as far as connecting with them and building our own community if that's the case. We're going to have to
It
find a way to,
is.
to strengthen the intersections within all of us. Because when the shit hits the fan, there's going to be people that are needed to have a level head, like you said, in the midst of chaos. Because when chaos happens, people lose their minds. There needs to be people who are leaders. And at this point, it don't have to be just one or two people. We all are going to have to awaken to the leader inside of us. Because when you say end games, it's kind of like end games. Thanos' ass is almost getting the fifth goddamn Infinity Stone. We about to be fucked up. So what are we going to do?
Right. Right.
What are we going to do? But you have any
It,
lasting thoughts? Because I don't think
I
nobody left
do.
any
In the
questions
comments,
for you.
I thank folks for listening in. Though here's a challenge question for you. We don't
Yes.
need to answer today. You can or next time.
Okay.
If I didn't have the experiences that I had, would I be as welcoming to this conversation? If you
Mm,
didn't have the experiences that you had, would you have been open to this conversation? And I mean like childhood experience, not just dating as an older person.
mm,
You think about a farm, not a farm, Wild Wild West or wherever, country land. Your homes are like 10 miles apart.
mm,
My ranch is here, your ranch is there. We don't ever talk to each other. I hear about you every once in a while that the Jones and the Smiths and whatever Kowalski's down there, but I really don't get in your business, and you don't get into mine. We are coexisting. We are coexisting. I don't get into your business. You don't get into mine. We
right.
have a major storm coming. It's going to wipe out some of the land.
Mm,
Now, we might end up coming together to figure out how to prepare for the storm.
right.
And if we like, I don't even know you, out of that, but at the moment we figure out how to come together to prepare for the storm. That might even be, well, please make sure on your end, because when the storm comes, it's going to come up on the eastern side from the so and so and so and so, which is your end. So it might be that we both agree I have a majority of the work to do, but
Mm,
we both plan together for the storm. We assess the damage after, and then we might not see each other or talk to each other again for who knows how many days, weeks, months, or years
mm,
because there's no storm. If you minus the storm, this looks like a feel good conversation for you and anyone who identifies as queer. If you add the storm, excuse me, then it looks like, oh, we need queer people in order for us to survive.
mm,
So my question, again, you don't have to answer it now, minus the harm, minus the brutality, minus the deletions, self or by at the hands of someone else, would we be having this conversation? And could it be that we do get along, but as some people would say, we've been doing just fine. You don't need to come over here and we don't need to go over there. So outside of that storm, what makes this so unique? Outside of that storm, why is there a need for this? Outside of that storm, whatever the math is, I just been saying 200 years, but whatever the math is, that forever those who identify as queer have never been given a fair shake, have always been considered different, have always had to hide, have always felt oppressed. So
mm,
whatever that number is, let's just go back to 200. 200 years it's been that way. So why should we change it now? The end of the earth is coming. They said that 10 years ago. They said it when Reagan was president. They said it was blah, 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 blah. They said the 12th day is going to come. They've been saying it forever. So what makes it different now?
mm,
That's the challenge question I throw your way because
yeah.
when we can answer that, I think it helps both sides understand the significance to why this is important.
Correct. I agree. I agree. We're gonna have to definitely do this again, Dr. Nakumba,
Yes.
especially when you were talking about the conspiracy theories, because I'm kind of on that tip too. Like when you start healing from pain, because I feel like the pain is there. Like pain has a purpose, but we haven't been taught how to transmute that purpose. We've really been taught that, oh, you cast the cares on somebody else, let somebody else do it. It's kind of like a lot of the pharmaceutical companies, not the ones who support the HIPAA law, but those who are in it for profit or whatever.
Right.
They'll be the cause of your shit and then give you quote unquote a remedy, not to even fix
Right.
the shit, but just to have you live with it and tolerate it. And then on top of that, it'd be some new shit. So it'd be like, it's those conversations need to happen, and it's being documented. This is the internet age. That means when they talk about revelations, I feel like revelations is gonna be like this. Oh, you was talking all that shit. Pull up all the shit you said. What was all this?
Right.
What was all going on now? What did you say? So, we just gotta do our part. So again, I thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and life and sacrificing to have this conversation. And we'll definitely have to plan it. Tough Topics messaged me at 6:30 something in my email as far as responding to my comments. So I don't want her to feel like we cheated her out. So maybe when we have part 2, it'll probably be planned better to where she'll be able to come up, because I do want to make sure that we can have that conversation, especially with her.
You bet. Maybe she needs some space. I don't know if she, I told you some people don't like to be in the same space as me. Maybe we should ask her if she want to have just some one-on-one time with
No,
you.
she said she was fine with it. It's just I think she was busy with her life and stuff like that, so she kind of got back to me kind of late. So it's like, hopefully for part 2 we can get her, and maybe that'll work better for her. You know what I'm saying? Because people do have a life, so I'm not pressed about it. So,
Right.
Yes,
All right.
Yes.
Spicy Original,
Yes.
Deshaun Stallings. Let's see who else I see in your network here. And whoever's listening on the replay, thank you again for allowing me this space to share with you and to share my perspectives.
Yes.
BubzDaGawd, thank you for this opportunity to have the conversation. I felt it was fruitful in the sense that we were able to air out some of these concerns and actually just be open and transparent and have the conversation as far as how we feel about certain things and what we would like to do. I still say there's about 20 to 50, 60, 100 more hours of conversation because everyone has a story.
Yes.
And it'd be nice to hear each person's story. Again, I dominated the time, so I apologize. But in the same breath,
I talk
I'm
a lot
unapologetic
on my channel.
Right.
Tired of my damn voice. They want to hear you. Let them, you go ahead and talk. Shit.
Right. So I'm unapologetic about, the time to offer and explain.
Right.
I am hoping for the day, but again, however people feel about it, that we can have a larger conversation, no matter whose side it's on, but just being prepared totally so we can have the conversation, even if it gets bumpy, but as long as by the time we reach the end, we are all still safe.
Correct.
So you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, or evening. For those who are listening in, depending what time you listen, thank you. Please hit the like button if you have not already, and definitely leave a comment. I do peek over at the walls and see what's going on. So if you have a comment, please leave it. I will do my part to address it. I know Bubs will do his part to address it.
Yes.
And if you felt triggered, offended, or anything like that, and would like us to know, please do. And that way we get a chance to either rectify it or say, well, get you some big boy panties, girl panties, or neutral panties or pants to put on.
You gonna live. You can heal. You gonna live. We all gotta go through it. Ain't nobody exempt. That's the thing about it. We all gotta go through it. You'll make it. We'll just help you. So, but yes.
All right, brother, man. You bet. Take care of yourself. Now, when you put this on the thing, I hope my picture's not the one that's your main thing. Make sure that.
Oh, no. I already got a thumbnail already set. So
all right.
It's already
cool.
set. Yep.
Because then that kid, you don't really see their face up there, that one. But okay, cool. All right.
I could take one of those pictures and put them on the thumbnail. I can change it now.
All right.
Right. No, because again, you laid down your credentials. I didn't know all of this, so I was kind of like, oh wow, like I'm really talking to somebody who's like, I know you're a professional, but like to actually see all of it as far as what you do, the pictures and the testimonies and stuff, like it really just solidified it. So I was like, oh wow, it's another level of respect now, because it's like, you're actually doing this like in real life. So that really helped it out for me. Yes, thank you.
You got it. All right, take care. Peace and love, everyone, and I'm out.
Yes, have a good one.
All right, you too.
Thank you. All right, y'all, that was Dr. Nakumbe. That was a good conversation. And we're going to continue these conversations again. If I got to be one of the ones to do it, I will definitely do it, okay? Shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to Queen Spicy. Shout out to Dr. Nakumbe, of course. Shout out to Deshaun. Shout out to Queen Stevie. Shout out to Black Men Unfiltered. Shout out to everybody who's watching, okay? Again, if you liked this particular live, hit the like button, okay? It helps this channel to grow on the algorithms. If you like the vibe over here on BubzDaGawd, the ever-evolving vibe over here on BubzDaGawd, please make sure you hit that subscription button as well as that notification bell so that you can stay up to date with my content and my lives, because we about to really kick this shit into high gear, okay? I'm about to get all my shit, all right? And if you feel compelled, you can definitely hit my Cash App. Shout out to Queen Spicy. $ BubzDaGawd. We take shit that jingle and fold and in between, okay? We appreciate it. We thank you for it. And yeah, until next time, everybody, enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday evening. Oh yeah, and by the way, I might be having a little something special for y'all either tomorrow or Tuesday, so y'all stay on the lookout, because one thing about BubzDaGawd, my ass is a leprechaun, so I know that I can manifest some magical shit, okay? I'm just saying, so make sure y'all on the lookout. Until next time, y'all. Peace.
Love never dies, just choose to be born.